Mr. Rodriguez, good evening. Do you have your reports tonight?
I do. Good evening, everybody. I stand before you today not just as a union leader, but as the voice of every CSCA member who has endured a year marked by delay, disrespect, and dismissal from the district. We entered negotiations with hope for collaboration, fairness, and progress. What we were met with, however, was not only disappointment, but telling. Over the past year, it has become painfully clear the district is not interested in partnership. They are focused on control. They want to dictate how we are paid, regardless of fairness, transparency, or precedent. They want to restructure our schedules, ignoring work-life balance, autonomy, and even basic decency. They want unchecked power over discipline, without due process, without transparency, and too often without humanity. But the worst offenses are not written in proposals. They are lived experiences. Our members have been targeted, bullied, and punished simply for standing together. Speaking out has become a liability. Solidarity has become a threat, and demanding respect, that's met with retaliation. Here's just one example. The district went so far as to withhold the pay of the union president, me. They didn't do this because of budget error. They did it as a warning, as a punishment, and as a message. Let me be very clear. Withholding union leaders' pay is not just disrespectful, it's unlawful, unethical, and shamefully vindictive. And it is another deliberate attempt to weaken our union, to intimidate our leadership, and to remind everyone that if our members speak up, it will come at a price. So I ask again, is this the Whittier union way? Is this how a district that claims to support students and families treats its frontline workers? Our power and control more important than partnership and mutual respect. We're not asking for special treatment. We're demanding dignity, we're demanding fairness, we are demanding a contract that reflects the value we bring to the district every single day. We're still here, still ready to negotiate, still ready to fight, not just for a contract, but for justice, for basic human respect, for the soul of this district. Because we are more than employees. We are professionals. We are advocates. We are union. And we are not going away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for your report. Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our open session. Thank you so much for coming to our board meeting tonight. It's good to see all of you. And we have a lot to be grateful for and a lot to celebrate tonight, as we will see shortly. So to begin, we just emerged from closed session, and we do have, can all of you hear me tonight? Very good. So we just emerged from closed session, and we do have a brief report. So to share our report from closed session, Vice President Rodriguez Moisa.
Yes, good evening. The board voted in closed session 3-1-1 with Dr. Castaneda Calleros, Ms. Rodriguez Moisa, Ms. Conchola in the 3, Mr. Mendez as a no, and Mr. Lopez as an abstain, to direct District Council to send a response under Government Code Section 5460.2 to the June 3 letter received by the board.
Thank you very much for that report tonight. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Principal Griselda Castro.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Castro.
Done.
And now our land acknowledgement. If it could be read by Dr. Oviedo, please.
Yes. The Whittier Union High School District acknowledges our presence in the traditional ancestral land of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples, which includes the villages of Choquishna, now Santa Fe Springs, Sihat, now Los Nietos Whittier, and the village of Sijna, now Whittier San Gabriel River area. This land remains unceded territory. Whittier Union High School District honors and respects the Gabrielino Tongva ancestors and their connection to this land.
Thank you, Dr. Oviedo. That brings us to item 5, approval of the minutes from our May 10th special board meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Lopez, seconded by Ms. Conchola. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. The ayes, any abstain? Any vote no? The ayes have it. Thank you. 5-0. Item 5.02, let's consider approval of minutes from the May 13th, 2025 regular board meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Conchola, thank you. Is there a second? Second by Vice President Rodriguez Moisa, thank you. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you very much. Passes 5-0. Approval of tonight's agenda. As we consider approval of the June 10th, 2025 board agenda, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Ms. Rodriguez Moisa and seconded by Mr. Lopez. Any discussion on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Any opposed or abstaining? Didn't think so. Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. And that brings us to our fun item tonight, 7.01, teaching, learning, recognitions, and presentations. And to introduce our champions, I will turn it over to Dr. Oviedo.
Yes, tonight is a great night. Looking forward to hearing from our principal of Lucerno High School, Mrs. Griselda Castro, who will introduce her coaches and share about our student athletes.
Excellent.
Thank you. Good evening. Can you hear me okay? Here? Okay. Something new every day. Good evening. I have the pleasure and the honor of recognizing, first and foremost, our coach, who will also recognize our student tonight, Coach Orr, who has been our head track and field coach for over 16 years. If I could have him come up and I'll have him do the honors of recognizing our student and praise his accolades.
Welcome, Coach.
I'm here to introduce to you and honor Grant Miller. So Grant, why don't you come and show me? This is Grant Miller, and we're here to celebrate him tonight for his achievements that he's made in his senior year before he leaves Whittier Union and pursues his career of running on at Biola University. Grant was our, well, all the honors are listed here. There's so many, but he was in our CIF Southern Section Division 1. He placed second in the 1600 with a time of 4:07 and third place in the 3200, 9:11. And those performances led on to a CIF Masters meet first place finish in the 1600 and at the state meet where he ran his personal best of 4:07.45 in the 1600. That's a full mile. That's like a mile. Running a mile for him, if you didn't know. And he placed fifth at the state meet, and quite amazing achievements. Beyond your amazing achievements athletically, Grant, I wanted to present to the board like how your amazing character and your leadership that you've placed on our team. I have said many times along the way, and it can't be said enough, how proud I am of the young man that you've become. And so I just wanted to present to you Grant Miller and all his accomplishments. Before I sat down on board, I want to just thank you and Dr. Oviedo for your support of all of our school's programs. We have amazing facilities. We have amazing support from our staff, and amazing things like this don't happen with great leadership. And so I just wanted to express my appreciation what I had before.
Thank you very much. And, not to put you on the spot, Grant, don't run away. Don't run away. As we continue to my accolades that you so richly deserved, I wanted to see if you had any family or friends to introduce to us tonight that are with you.
Yeah, I have my grandpa and my mom and dad and sister here. Sorry, what else? I'm sorry, what else?
No, thank you very much. And actually, I'm going to pause right now and check in with my colleagues and see if they'd like to share any accolades or any comments with you, colleagues.
Oh, sure. What an accomplishment, Grant. It takes a special person to be a track person that runs, because you're out there by yourself. And thoughts come, and being able to clear all the thoughts and have that runner's mind is so very valuable. So I wish you the best luck as you move on to Biola. And good luck in your studies and keep on doing the best you can.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mendes. Mr. Lopez.
Coach, I just want to thank you. Thank you for introducing Grant. And Grant, congratulations. Congratulations. And it takes a special, one, believe in yourself, right? Okay. Two, believe in your coach. And three, the support, believe in the support from your family. So I want to congratulate you, but it doesn't happen very often, like Coach says. So please enjoy, celebrate as much as you can and enjoy the memories. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to congratulate you. I know it takes a lot of discipline, and the discipline that you get in running, you can apply it to so many things in your life, and so you're going to be ultra successful. I was just curious, what degree are you pursuing at Biola?
I want to pursue kinesiology.
Awesome.
I plan to become a physical therapist.
Perfect. And then I also wanted to congratulate your beautiful family, because it takes, the family to back you up, and so congratulations to all of you, because part of his success is your success. So congratulations.
One of the hardest parts about going towards the end is that everyone else has been so incredibly eloquent to share how proud we are of you. So I will keep this short to say, go Lancers. I wore my Lancer colors today because we were recognizing you and obviously our golf team, but really you made us so proud. So best of luck to you. Please come back, coach, train, mentor some of our students, and congratulations to the family. Truly an incredible accomplishment, and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. And Grant, I'll be brief. Mr. Lopez wanted to share something else. Mr. Lopez?
I do have a question, Grant. Did you use the fire extinguisher?
I did not. There was no need for the situation.
I know, I would have supported that.
I know. But I want to join my colleagues in being able to give you congratulations. And I just want to pause and just marvel, not only at what you've been able to accomplish at the highest moment and at when you needed to be clutch and when you needed to perform, to be able to get your personal best at the state. Wow, that's amazing. How many people can actually say that? Very few. And then also to just reflect on all of the preparation, right? It's one thing to have to be prepared to perform at your highest on the day of the meet, but all the preparation that goes into it, all the practice. So kudos to your family for being there, heart, mind, and soul. And God bless you as you pursue your studies at Biola. What an incredible way to finish your collegiate career.
Yeah.
And you're going to be remembered for this forever and ever, and I hope you feel really good about what you've accomplished. And congratulations to Coach Joe Orr as well. Thank you for your leadership, your inspiration, for mentoring Grant to allow him to achieve these heights. And so on behalf of the board, I have 2 certificates. One to Mr. Grant Miller, if you can join me up front. And as I walk around, we're going to be taking some pictures as well. So thank you, Amanda, for being poised and ready to snap some photos. Thank you, Juan. On behalf of the board, please accept this. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thanks. And then, do you want to take pictures of him and Coach Orr? Or him by himself first?
Let's do the board first, and then do
Sure.
Coach. However you want to do
That sounds real good. Coach, you're on deck.
on deck.
So
And then
board, come on
family
over
after.
for the picture. Him first by himself or the board first?
Board first.
Okay, come on forward. Oh, yes, sir. Ready to keep the board first. Just holding this button. That'll work. Does that work, Amanda? If you
Yeah,
want to select that?
perfect. They all work great. Okay. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank
Stay
you.
there.
Very good.
We'll do one with just you. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Perfect. And then coach. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Can we have the Miller family come up and take a photo with Grant?
Yeah. 3 generations of support. That's impressive.
Come on up,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's amazing. Come on up. Thank you.
3. One more. Perfect. Thank you all so much. Congratulations.
Coach Orr, we have a certificate for you as well. So Grant, maybe you could take a picture with Coach Orr. Amanda, if you don't mind.
You cannot say that without Coach Orr.
I know, you can. So Coach, here's the certificate that we have for you on behalf of the board. Commemorate your Thank you. Congratulations. Go ahead and take a picture.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. And then Coach, just by yourself.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you so much.
I hope I think it before you.
Yes.
So we will now transition to our next champions, our Lucerna High School golf team, say Section Division I champions.
So much fun to just hear all of their successes over the course of the season and to share more about that. Mrs. Castro, and you can introduce the coach as well.
Yes, so I get the honor and the privilege of celebrating tonight as well with our team. I'm going to bring up our 2 coaches that are here. Is Jared Zavala. I can have you come up. And Jared Zavala, he's the head boys golf coach who has also been for, I think it's like 10 years plus. 10 years plus of the head coach, and he's also assistant girls coach as well. And we also have Marty Galvan, who is the assistant boys golf coach, but he's also the head girls as well in the past. So he's been helping us out, and we really appreciate you being here. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Zavala, and he'll say a few words and introduce his players.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the board for recognizing our sport. I was thinking, I've been working in Whittier, I've been working at Lucerna for 30 years. And every year I look at the newsletters that come out and see all the teams that come to the board meetings and get recognized, and I'm thinking, one day, hopefully, I'll get there. And here I am, so. I'd also like to thank the faculty and staff at Lucerna. Winning this championship was really something special for our team, but seeing the response from the staff and the faculty and the outreach and the outpouring, I think all of the kids on the team really realized how special this was, so I really appreciate everything that Lucerna High School has done for us. For the golf team, to say this team is full of amazing golfers is an understatement. Golf is a really difficult sport. Some of you, I'm sure, have played, and the level that they're playing at is really unbelievable. And golf is a little bit different than other sports like football and basketball and baseball and so forth because, well, first of all, we did win the Division I championship, and that was special because you're beating obviously some of the top schools in Southern California. But to get to where we ended up at the state tournament, there was a lot of tournaments that you have to go through. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that when you get to state, there's not divisions anymore. There's one state champion in California. So to get to that point is extremely difficult. So as you can see, we start off our CIF journey with individuals, and we had a student, Joseph Gutierrez, tied for first, and this is with, I think it was out of 138 players, and he played extremely well that day. The team went to El Dorado Golf Course in Long Beach, and we ended up winning by 1 stroke, so it tells you how important every stroke is in a golf tournament. And we had a lot of birdies on the last hole, which really made the difference, and we ended up beating Santa Margarita by 1 stroke, which to me was outstanding. Then we moved on to a qualifier. We went to Temecula, and it was the top 4 teams out of the 12 that were there would advance to the state qualifier, and we placed 3rd, which was fine. It really wasn't about winning. It was really about qualifying for the opportunity to go to state. And then we went to the CIF SCJ State Regional Tournament, which basically is the 2 best teams from San Diego, from LA Unified, from Central California, and then the 4 best teams from Southern Section. And we won that, and that was truly amazing. Truly amazing. Last week we were in Pebble Beach, which was, just to go there was, I think the kids will never forget this trip. I'm very thankful that we made it this year, because next year it's down here, so we got the opportunity to go up to Northern California. We got to go to Pebble Beach, I got to play Poppy Hills, and we played well. I mean, the teams there are unbelievable, and for us to get there, I think all of us felt pretty good, even after, you know, leaving without the championship. The journey itself was amazing, and the accomplishments of all of the kids was second to none. So, so I'm gonna bring up all of the golfers. We have one student golfer that's not here, so I'll recognize him first. Okay, so Andrew Rodriguez, he's not here today. First, I'd like to say we don't have any seniors on the team. We have 5 juniors and a sophomore, so the hope is that we'll come back here, but knowing how difficult this journey was in the first place, you know, it's not something that is guaranteed. So Andrew Rodriguez is a junior on the team. He's committed to Fresno State, and the way golf works is there's rankings. Every time you play a round of golf, you go into a system. It's called I Wanamaker, and then you're ranked. Out of the golfers in the ranking system, there's 3,271 golfers. So I'm going to give you the ranking of all the kids, and that kind of gives you an idea of like where they stand compared to basically everybody in Southern Section. So Andrew Rodriguez, like I said, is a junior going to Fresno State, and then he finished ranked 12th in CIF. So really, really an amazing. And he ended up being our #1 golfer when it came to the rankings at the end of the season. We have one sophomore on the team. Do you want me to help him come up? Okay, so his name is Hill Wayne. So Hill ended up at the end of everything ranked 25th in CIF. He tied for first at the regional tournament. He shot 7 under, which if you play golf, you know that's amazing. Hill's been in the news a lot lately. He was actually on TV, I think, last week. He qualified, or he won or tied for first in the local US Open qualifier. And then he played the night before, the day before our state championship, in the second round of qualifying for the US Open, which is 36 holes, walking, and then he had to get in a car and drive up to Northern California, so it really kind of took a toll on him, but he's been really a steady player all year and really an outstanding golfer. And he's only a sophomore.
We had the students stand up.
This is no order in particular. So the next golfer, junior Joseph Gutierrez. Joseph's the captain of our team, and there's a reason for that. He's been a great leader, and he's a 3-year varsity letterman. He ended up ranked 7th in CIF. If you look at the rankings, he's ranked 7th, which is unbelievable. At the CIF individuals, I already spoke on this, but he tied for first, which is very, very difficult. And then he's a Wisconsin commit, so just the next junior, Tyler Yao. You want to come, Tyler? So Tyler, like I said, is a junior, and he ended up the season ranked 31st in CIF on I Wanamaker. At the state championship, he ended up tied for 9th, which is an amazing accomplishment in itself. At some point or one point, he was in the top 3, but he played probably the best on that day. He was really having a solid day. Academically, he's I don't know if you want to talk about academics, but he's one of, if not the top of the junior class, and he's a 3-year letterman as well. Jacob Palomars. So Jacob's a junior, and this was actually his first year. He was new to Lucerna this year, and this was his first year on the golf team. What a year to come in and be on the golf team in your first year and get to the state championship. He ended up ranked 56 at the end of the season, and then he finished tied for 17th at the state tournament. Good job. And then our last golfer is Jacob Torres. Come on up, Jacob. So Jacob's a junior as well. I love that they're all juniors, and like everybody's asking me at state, hey, how many seniors do you have? I'm like, we don't have any. So Jacob ended up the year in the top 300. He earned us a spot for our league for an extra individual, which was beneficial because our team actually took all the individual spots, which was awesome. This was his first year playing in CIF competition, and he's been on the team for 3 years, but this was his breakout year, and he ended up helping us out in CIF competition this year, so appreciate it. Good stuff.
Excellent. I think it's picture time. The board, if you can join me down from the dais.
Okay, ready? We'll do you guys
Can we hold
first.
that? Team first.
Okay, ready? 1,
Yeah.
2, 3. Perfect. 4.
Thank you. Board, we're up. You guys.
Oh, no, we gotta get the trophy.
Oh, trophy first, yeah.
Can you guys do both?
Congratulations, John.
There you go. And one more.
Okay. Thank you.
Are we in here? Or? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, only 3 feet.
Got the wide angle on?
I think we're going to need, let's see.
Suck it in more?
Mr. Mendez, can you come this side?
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. There we go. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Cool. Congrats. Thank you.
You want the parents? Okay. Do the parents want to come up and take a picture?
Yeah, get the parents up there. Definitely, yes.
Come on, parents. Families, parents.
Come on.
You guys stand.
That trophy belongs to you too.
Back in like that line.
It's up to you.
It's only going to be the top.
There we go. And then parents,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
hold it so you guys can grab.
Why not?
Yeah,
Marty, come on.
Pleasure to meet you. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we were talking.
There you go.
Wayne Madsen,
Okay,
Jared,
ready?
and
1,
Paul
2, 3.
at CIF. So, yeah, we all work at least one season. Now I have.
All right, congratulations. Oh, thank you. Good luck. All right.
Thank you.
This is
Colleagues, maybe we can begin with a few congratulatory remarks if we haven't done that yet.
For the golf team?
For the golf team.
Should I start this time?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, well, listen, I want to say congratulations. I obviously attempt to play golf. And I say attempt because it's an incredibly challenging sport. I could try to run, at least I know I could run the 1600, not very fast, but I could run it. But golfing, it really, talk about concentration, the swing, the whole balance of the body, the club. I mean, it's just an incredible accomplishment, and then to do it at this level, and for those of you who are headed off to college, I mean, just, we're so proud of you. Bring back another championship next year, no pressure, no pressure. Congratulations. And thank you to the parents and families for all you do to support their activities and their success. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You know, I heard many times that a lot of the tough business decisions happen in the golf course, right? And so all I could picture when you were all standing here were these powerful business men, you know, for the future. So I just want to congratulate you on your amazing skills and for really lifting La Serna's name up at the state level. We're very proud of you, and thank you for, you know, doing a sport that is not as common. And doing it so well. Congratulations to all of you and to your beautiful families.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the coach. Thank you for your commitment, and congratulations all the players. Congratulations to the family. You're putting us on the map, and you're making us proud. Thank you.
Congratulations, players. I think this is the beginning of a legacy at Lucerna for golf. To imagine that none of you are seniors, that you're doing this at your junior or sophomore year, you have some standards that you've set for yourselves. So we hope to see you here next year, and we know that you're also very good, dedicated students, right? That is focused on your studies and make sure you have the balance. But I think you did your family and your school district proud. Thank you.
Again, I join my colleagues in congratulating you, men, and it's amazing to think about the heights you've accomplished. And when I think about trying to hit a golf ball, I'm not gonna lie, I can't. The most I can do is miniature golf. I'll wear a golfing stuff. But beyond that, I just wanted to thank you for having a high level of excellence for so long, and for, I think about all the, again, the practice time and the years leading up to this moment, this crowning moment. And families, congratulations, this is your victory, your accomplishment as well. And thank you so much for being here and supporting our athletes. And I'm just so happy for all of you. It's such a blessing, and you elevate the district, and you make all of us so ecstatic when you achieve heights like this, and you're gonna be able to treasure this for a lifetime. So congratulations to you. So before we go to 7.03, I do know we're going to be having other champions crowned in the very near future, right? Mary Chapman, this could be you at the podium very soon. So we were looking forward to congratulate the Pioneer High School men's baseball team. So we're so excited for their championship. So item 7.03, introduction of our new Director of Student Support Services. I see her smiling in the audience, so I look forward to meeting her, Dr. Oviedo.
Yes, and to share a little bit more about Ms. Medina is Mrs. Bozigian.
Thank you, Dr. Oviedo. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Jennifer Medina as our new Director of Student Support Services. Ms. Medina brings over 25 years of service to the Whittier Union High School District in both school site and district level leadership roles. Most recently, Jennifer served as the Assistant Principal of Guidance and Counseling at Lucerna High School, overseeing academic counseling, student services, enrollment, and college and career readiness. She previously served as Assistant Principal of Curriculum and Instruction at Whittier High School and held district roles as Curriculum and Assessment Support Coach and a Whittier Union District Metrics Coordinator. Ms. Medina holds a master's degree in educational leadership from Cal Poly Pomona and is recognized for her collaborative leadership and commitment to student achievement and equity. Her extensive experience in student support systems makes her well-positioned to lead this critical department. Welcome, Ms. Jennifer Medina.
Thank you. I just want to say good evening. And I really want to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to the Board of Trustees and Dr. Oviedo for this opportunity and for your continued leadership and support. I'm incredibly honored and humbled to serve the district in this new capacity, and I'm truly thankful for the trust you place in me. I'd also like to extend a heartfelt thanks to my family, who's here, whose unwavering encouragement and commitment has been the foundation of my life's journey. So your support means everything to me. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank those I've worked with in this district, many I call friends. It has been a privilege to work alongside such dedicated and passionate people. And I just want to say thank you again for this incredible opportunity. I'm committed to serving with integrity, compassion, and a deep sense of purpose. Thank you.
Ms. Medina, I'm going to take the privilege of speaking first. I usually defer to my colleagues, but I feel moved because I have firsthand knowledge of how well you work with students and families based on your work with me as a Whittier High parent. And now in this role, as you know, you're stepped into a position where you'll have your pulse on not only the community resources, but addressing the very wide and urgent needs of our students who come to us with so many different levels of need, social, emotional, and resource-wise, and mental health, and it runs the gamut. And we entrust you with this really important role. You've earned it, and we're here to support you, and we look forward to working with you, and hopefully we can continue to see you shine and continue to see you address our student needs so that they can soar and be all that God intends them to be. So thank you, and congratulations to you and your family.
I am so proud and happy that you have this post. Did not work with you directly as a parent, either at Lacerda or at Whittier High, but I've observed you from afar at Lacerda, different events that I've attended. And the word that comes to mind is heart, corazón. You have an incredible love and calling to serve our students. Thank you for taking up this challenge. I have no doubt you will be the best and you will do great things for us. Congratulations.
I want to ditto what Ms. Rodriguez Moisa is saying. You know, I'm an educator too, so I can see from afar when people really have a heart, a passion for this wonderful, beautiful work that is to work with students. And I know your love for students is very genuine and your passion is very genuine. So we're very proud of you. Continued success. Congratulations. And to your beautiful family as well.
Just want to say congratulations on your promotion, and of course to your family. So I look forward and and you answering a lot of questions that we have. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
So now I'm in Irma's position. It's always been things that have been said before. But this board is dedicated to student services, and we care about their mental health, about their academic standing and their needs for that as well. And this time is not very easy, this climate that we're under in California and this nation. And so we certainly hope that you help students, to help resolve some of the issues that may keep them from academic excellence. And we know that we chose a good person to do that. So prove us right. Thank you, Ms. Medina.
Thank you very much, and that brings us to item 8, community comments. Now, do we have any community comments this evening? We do not. Okay. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 9.01, employee representatives. I'd like to start with WSCA, Mr. Matt Francis.
Thank you, Board. For my position, I will wholeheartedly like to invite the Board and anyone else who's still in the room. Whittier High School's Alumni Association is celebrating the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. It is a fundraiser for the school on June 21st, starting at 5 p.m. Come join us and support the Alumni Association. Good evening, family, friends, administrators, trustees, and honored guests. I'd like to thank all of the WSCA members for joining me tonight. It is my privilege to speak on behalf of the dedicated and passionate educators who make a profound impact on the lives of our students each and every day. As I think of my colleagues who are resting and recharging over summer, I'm reminded of something G.K. Chesterton once said. Of one thing I am quite absolutely convinced, that the very idlest kind of holiday is the very best. By being idle, you are mixing with the inmost life of the place where you are. By doing nothing, you are doing everything. I hope my colleagues are doing nothing and everything all at once. It's a bit difficult to fathom that only 1 week ago, we were in the midst of district-wide celebrations of the graduating class of 2025. For all of us in the education world, these ceremonies are more than tradition. They are deeply emotional milestones. Watching our students cross the stage, each heading toward a different future, college, trade school, the workforce, the military, is a powerful reminder of why we do this work. That joy, that shared sense of accomplishment is something my members carry with immense pride. We walk alongside our students through every step of their educational journey, and graduation is a moment of collective triumph for them, their families, and for us. But that pride is not without responsibilities. In recent days, Los Angeles has seen an increased protest activity and heightened anxiety in our communities due to ICE raids and immigration enforcement actions, including yesterday's raids in Whittier. Let me speak plainly. Fear continues to grow in the hearts of some of our students. Fear their families will be torn apart, their presence will be questioned, their safety is uncertain. I want to reiterate to the board and to our entire community to hear clearly where WSCA stands. We represent educators from all walks of life. I would be a fool to think all of my members vote the same way or see the world through the same lens. But when it comes to our students, there is no division. We are united. Our students are not political talking points. They are human beings, young people who come to our schools seeking safety, stability, and hope. And WSCA members will do everything in their power to ensure they get exactly that. We will move mountains to protect our most vulnerable students. Whether a student's family is undocumented, whether they are impacted by protest-related trauma, or whether they are simply trying to make it through another day in uncertain times, we will be there. When times are tough and the road ahead is pitch black, we will be walking in front of and alongside our students, holding the flashlight. Our role doesn't stop at the classroom door. My members are deeply embedded in this community. We live here, we raise our own children here, we vote here, we volunteer here, we hold sacred space here. I routinely take my daughter to read to the dogs at the Whittier Public Library, the same library ICE rendezvoused at yesterday morning. We're not just educators, we are neighbors, we are protectors, and when our communities are in crisis, we step in, not away. We all took an oath when we became public servants to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from enemies both foreign and domestic. That oath includes the right of every student, regardless of status, background, or language, to access a free, safe, and equitable public education. That oath also compels us to stand for justice, for inclusion, and for the well-being of every family we serve. So yes, my members are watching what is happening all around us. And we are paying attention to how these events ripple into our classrooms. We will not stay silent when our students are afraid. We will not look the other way. Andy Dufresne knew that geology is the study of pressure and time. Geology tells us that a river cuts through a rock not because of its power, but because of its persistence. We will teach, we will protect, we will stand up, we will not back down, we will persist. Thank you.
Thank you for comments. Mr. Lopez, did you want to? Mr. Chair, if I could respectfully ask for a copy of his full comment and just to make sure they're entered into the record. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, without a objection. Thank you.
Can we ask for Mr. France's comments to also be entered into the record?
Yes, that would be fine. No objection. No objections from my colleagues for either request. Thank you both for your reports. That brings us to board reports. And as I traditionally do, I start to my far right. Mr. Mendez, do you have a board report tonight?
You wanna go first? Okay, I know, let's go first.
Okay, Mr. Lopez, you're up.
Good evening. There are a lot of items I want to cover tonight. I did attend 2 graduations, one at USAC and the other at Cal High. I heard Mana being played in the background before one of the ceremonies started. It was a great way to sound in the festive atmosphere. I did listen to most of the student speeches. Everyone did a great job, but I did listen to Julia from Whittier High, her speech, phenomenal. If you have a chance, please listen to her speech, especially that poem that she read out loud, Mill's Boys. It's timely, it was impactful. So congratulations to the class of 2025. Great work, graduates, and you all got it done. We're very super proud of you. As I reflect back on the graduations, I would remiss if I did not mention the labor of love displayed by our representative staff and many others. As I stood on stage during the ceremonies and right before I extended my right hand to congratulate the graduate, they smiled. See, behind that smile, I sensed there was a lot of hard work put in not only from the students, but also from Whittier Union staff, instructional aides, lunch program personnel, security guards, janitors, landscapers, teachers, and everyone that made that smile happen. For that, I really appreciate it, and I thank you. On a different note, I've seen recent images of the ICE raids. Honestly, this kind of stuff keeps me up at night. There's a video of a gentleman of senior age walking on sidewalk, and suddenly ICE agents run towards him and tackles him down to the concrete ground and apprehend him. This could be our father, this could be our uncle, or family member. We are seeing families being separated in real time. These ICE operations are stoking real fear, impacting real businesses, and ultimately are going to impact our school attendance. As a board member, I believe that we can do more for our students, family, and community. Yes, we have the resources online, but what tangible things are we doing? Is there interactive guidance on how to create a family plan in the worst case scenario? Is there a workshop on Carta Poder, also known as Power of Attorney? Are we offering to bus kids to and from summer school, even though it's not far from home, to make them feel safe and to show them that we care for the health and welfare in these trying times? Additionally, on this topic, we must continue to exercise our First Amendment right and fight hard to keep due process in place and maintain the Magna Carta doctrine spirit alive. To conclude my comments,
I did attend a CSBA delegate assembly. I'll follow up with a summary of key highlights to provide for you all, for the board. And also, I just want to make a comment about there's a young lady that won won a CIF. She won, and there was a fire extinguisher that was given to her after the fact, after she won, and she was denied. She was denied the medal, first place medal. Uncle, she should get the medal. She should get. I understand. There is, there's rules in place. I get it, but you know what? There's an appeal, and hopefully the CIF and other folks see and look within their heart that this girl earned the medal. And I just want to leave it as that. And and then of course, speaking of CIF, congratulations, Principal Chapman, for a job well done with the baseball team. And congratulations to the coach, the players and such. Hopefully next meeting we can recognize them. But what a run again, right? And just one thing, Principal Chapman, I see your demeanor has definitely changed. You're a winner. You're a winner as well, all right? So congratulations, and congratulations to the entire school. With that concludes my statement.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Shall we go to Ms. Conchola? Are you ready? We're going back to Mr. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Mendez, do you have a report tonight?
Sure I do. I just wanted to really brief before I get into my report, just to clarify on the report out that I voted no. The subject matter was Brown Act violation, whether or not. I voted no because I believe the board did violate the Brown Act. Mr. Lopez voted abstain, and the others voted for the letter to be written, just to clarify. Graduations, another magical time. I wish I could be omnipresent and attend all of them. That transitions, it was my first time I've been to transition. Wow, that was so amazing. These students had such character. Well, I thought I saw John Travolta a couple times just walking on over, swag, with confidence, and that was truly magical. You know what, I love teachers, period, but the teachers in that area are just amazing. Wow, I walked up to one of them and I said, do we do anything to keep your spirits up? They're like, what? And so I think I asked a dumb question, but because that takes a lot of courage, I think. A lot of courage, but they wouldn't be there if they didn't have those elements already. So, but that was such a magical. I'm going to go to everyone now from now on, and I'm sorry that I missed anything in the past. I attended Cal High. Cal High, it was the comments I got from parents who I knew. They said, that is run like a ship, Mr. Mendez. They just kept everybody going. There wasn't any hiccup. The only hiccup was my speech, but outside of that, it was so well run. Shaking all the sweaty hands, seeing all the nervousness, the smiles, the bravado of the students was just amazing. And I heard that we've graduated some of the highest amount of students this year. And so that was amazing. USAC graduation really touched me. The speeches that the students gave, the real situation that, all students have their experiences. We all had our experiences when we were in high school, but the challenges that the USAC students have went through, that they shared, having overcome drug addiction, and some of the circumstances they had at home, was just so inspiring. So inspiring. It's great to hear that. And Ms. Mariotti, you keep your teachers motivated, and let's continue to do those type of work, and thank you for that. Yes, ICE, I'm concerned about ICE, where this country is going, scares the heck out of me. It's the due process issue that I'm greatly concerned about. We all want to do something, I want to do something, but the ICE are just too quick. And to see that video of them in the parking lot, and to see that in that video, that they walked out prisoners from the Whittier jail with property bags with a staple and their name on the Whittier PD property bag tells me someone's cooperating. I didn't like the smell of that, and I'm concerned about it. And I went through 187 like everybody here on this dais, I think, where I was young, we experienced that, and that I thought that was scary. This is incredible, the fact that they can run a van down South Whittier and Carmenita and Meyer, open the doors, start running after people, tackle them, handcuff them, hit them, and put them in a van and disappear them. And it disappeared, because disappear is when you don't have due process. They didn't go to court. They went to a facility where who knows what they're gonna do before they send them on a plane out. That's what I'm concerned about. And I'm so embarrassed as an American. I'm embarrassed for my friends in England, my friends in Mexico, my friends in China. I'm just embarrassed that we're the ones doing that now. Human rights violations. I used to be the chapter president of Amnesty International in Whittier when I was a college student, and to know that I wrote letters on the behalf of people that are going through this now in other countries, where now we are the human rights violators. It just concerns me. And I think we need to be vigilant. I pray for the families and students that are experiencing all the stress. Anyhow, that said, just wanted to clarify some things. Ms. Rodriguez Moisa, you said that you did not turn amendments in. Here's the amendments we got at the board meeting in April that you handed out. Gutting 9310, gutting it. And the sad part is, there's a policy subcommittee that Mr. Castaneda Caleros and I are on, reviewing policies. This was one of them. We sat with the superintendent. We went over this. We considered her changes. It went fine. It went to this board, and then to get surprised by amendments. In our handbook, it says to maintain policy development approved and updated process that is understood and followed. This was outside of that process. You could have sent that to the board president for us to consider. You didn't. The fact was you wanted to gut it, you wanted a dramatic thing to do, and it sure made its point, but all these are our amendments. Also, I'm seriously, you also said that you mentioned declining enrollment. You said you wanted it on the agenda, and we didn't do it. It was put on the agenda twice, March and April of last year. Mr. Jamero did two presentations in response to your concern. I have the copies of that agenda item, of those two agenda items, those 2 months with presentations, so don't lie again. When you say you didn't hand out amendments, you did. You gutted it. When you say that there was no presentation on declining enrollment, that was a lie. Don't lie. Stop doing that. I'm concerned about the sports clubs. I'm seriously concerned. We got 3 emails in the last 6 months regarding the sports clubs. And it's been described by parents as a pay to play. Is that if you want to play, you better pay the money to get on those clubs, and we'll consider you to, whether you get on those clubs by your ability to pay. I'm adamantly opposed to this. Principals, administration, is that how do low-income students get on these sports clubs if they can't afford it? And if there's any decision based on their participation and their ability to play on those sports teams, I'm concerned. I think we need to look out for this. I would want an independent investigation. I'm gonna get a hold of CIF, because if this is the norm in California, that if you want to play, you gotta play. If you want to play, you need to pay. I'm against that, especially as it affects low-income people. I got an email this afternoon from Mr. Casadena encouraging us to be transparent and also telling us to adhere to governance norms that's in the handbook and that's throughout our governance standards. I submitted a complaint. I think Mr. Lopez and I submitted a complaint on your belittling my childhood experience at a study session. It was submitted officially to council and this board. It has not been agendized. I don't know where it's at. Making fun of somebody's childhood, I think is irreprehensible. It's against our norms. And I'm gonna read you something, Irma, because it says that right here in our governance standards, making facial expressions that show disapproval and disgust is against our norms. I'm reading policy.
I'm gonna intervene right now.
I'm reading policy.
And the reason why I'm intervening is because for the last few minutes, the board report has steered away from summarizing your
No, I'm
accomplishments
talking about.
to making personal attacks.
No, this
And
is a
I don't think board
response.
reports
No,
are
no,
the place to make
this is a
personal
response.
attacks. So if
This
you
is
could
a
go back to making
response.
your
No,
board
you're
report,
wrong. You're
I'd
out
very
of
much
order.
appreciate it.
You're out
Thank
of
you, Mr.
order
Mendez.
because what you don't like to hear is not under the norms. I'm not cussing, I'm not using aggressive language, I'm stating fact. As I was told that I did not agendize an item, and I did. I was told that there was no amendments passed out, and there was. I just proved that. So allow me to go back into my comments.
Please finish your report.
Don't outrule me just because you don't like to hear what I'm saying.
Thank you for finishing your report.
Thank you. I'm not done with my report. Actually, I am. You're welcome. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mendez, for finishing your report.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Ms. Conchola, do you have a report tonight?
Yes, I do. You know, graduation time is my favorite time of the year. It's first graduations and, well, Christmas and graduations are kind of like around the same level. You know, today actually marks 2 years since I was first appointed to the board. And I feel very blessed, you know, to have been given this opportunity and to have grown in those last 2 years as a board member. I was able to go to Pioneer High School's graduation, which is my alma mater, so Pioneer always has a very special place in my heart. La Serena High School, and then Santa Fe High School, which now would also become my son's new home. And as we were, you know, presenting the trustees awards, we were hearing all these, no pressure, Mr. Campbell, no pressure. I was hearing all these wonderful stories about the resilience of these young men and women that receive these awards. And then as the students were walking up the stage, you know, all the clicking of all the honors of all the medals that they have received because they have been working so hard for the last 4 years. And so it just gave me so much pride. And I'll tell you, because I'm doing my thank you.
Please return to your seat.
So in any case, I must tell you that the story of the young men from La Serena High School, like, totally, like, you know, touched my heart. All of them did, but this young man, resilience, his little sister passed away his senior year, and he was there to support his mom, and he was there to continue being a stellar student and being involved in the community, and, you know, keeping a smile in all of this, you know, through this huge tragedy. And it like a celestial calling, you know, you saw these birds, we literally saw a rainbow, you know, and I whispered to him, your sister is so present here, you know, and so I will never forget that moment with that particular student on the stage. But every student made me so proud, and I literally asked every student that was going to the stage, where are you going? What's your plan? And so they were giving me, you know, I'm going to UCLA, I'm going to Harvard, you know, Rio Hondo, Cerritos College, and whatever their path was, you know, Whittier Union was part of that trajectory. And it just made me feel so much pride in terms of all of the teachers that they've had, some of them, and having little sidebar conversations with them, talk to me about, you know, very significant teachers in their lives. You know, there was one young man that talked to me about the cafeteria worker and how she always gave him a little special something. And so just, you know, these caring adults and those relationships that were built with these students, I think they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. I know I did with, you know, some of the teachers that are actually featured in the back, and you know, people that I would always be grateful to. And so the other thing I was going to mention is that, you know, one additional graduation that I spoke at was at the UCR Chicano Alumni Association, and the only Chicano Alumni graduation. And the only reason that I'm bringing this up is because there was a Pioneer grad, Matthew Huerta from Pioneer, you know what I'm talking about?
What year?
Forgot. Well, anyways, he graduated 3 years ago, and yeah, and in any case, he was already graduating because of the dual enrollment classes that he took, you know, and he was an ASB. And so in any case, and he said, I could have graduated even a little bit earlier, but I wanted to enjoy that college experience. And I was like, wow, it just like blew me away. And so it was a busy month. So I went to Mr. Nakamura's 100th century celebration, birthday celebration, and just to hear his stories and to learn about all the wonderful things that he has seen within his lifetime, you know, so many changes in life. That was very awesome to be part of that. And also I had the privilege of going to both Whittier's Puente End of the Year celebration, where, you know, all of our seniors were being honored, and so that was very touching event. Also, the Serna End of the Year, and so it was just beautiful to see the families coming together to celebrate their students. Yesterday, I along with two other members of our board, were actually at the protest at City Hall, and you know, wherever side of the spectrum you might be, I think a lot of us were there not just to support our community, but to make sure that they were safe while they were protesting. And I would tell you, you know, I read all sorts of crazy comments on Facebook saying, oh, you know, there were bottles and all this other stuff. None of that was true. All I saw were people with signs, and they were dancing. El Caballo Dorado and La Chona, you know, and so that was the way that the community were coming together, and it is very personal. It's very personal because it was here in our community, you know, and it was very personal because it has impacted my family. You know, and I'll share that my brother-in-law was deported. He had been in the process 5 years of trying to get his green card, and he was called for an interview, and he was taken. And he was first detained in LA, and then he was sent to Adelanto, and then from Adelanto we couldn't find him. And we had heard that some of the other men that had been in that detention center had in fact been disappeared. And when we didn't hear from him, we didn't know if he was being sent to El Salvador like so many of the other men. It took us about a week to find him, and so we learned that he was deported to Tijuana. And so his whole family, our whole immediate family, has been jolted. And it's very personal because, you know, my dad is a very traditional Mexican man. He's 83 years old. He wears his sombrero everywhere he goes. And just by his look, he's a target. And so I told my parents, do not leave the house without your U.S. passport. You know, and it becomes very personal when I know that our students are so fearful. And it becomes very personal when I know some of our students whose parents have been taken away, and they now have either become one of the heads of their household, or are now having to live with another family member because their parents are no longer here. And, you know, there's a lot of organizations that are providing assistance, legal assistance, but there's like thousands of people impacted. And so there's not enough. And so I never thought that we were gonna live in such a dark place in history. You know, I read about what had happened, you know, in Second World War, and I thought, I hope humanity learns from this and it doesn't happen again. And it seems like it's happening again. But I also have a lot of faith. And I'll tell you that a lot of the people that showed up to that protest yesterday were young people. And so I have faith in humanity, and I have faith in youth, because I think they're gonna carry us forward.
Thank you, Ms. Conchola. Ms. Rodriguez-Moisa, do you have a report tonight?
I do. For those of you who have followed me at all for the last 2.5 years that I've been on this board, you know that this is my favorite time of the year. I so enjoy seeing the kids being celebrated and recognized for their accomplishments, and obviously congratulations to the students and their families for their graduations and recognition. I did have the honor of being able to participate, or attend the award celebrations at Cal High, at La Serna, and at Pioneer. All incredible students that we have. I think at Pioneer you might have set a record about how much money and scholarships was being awarded that night, so that was truly amazing. I am looking forward to the Destiny Scholarship Award that's going to be happening on Saturday, to see more money be awarded to our students. I too attended the Transitions Program's graduation. That is an amazing ceremony. I talked with Mr. Mendez afterwards, because that was his first one, and we talked a little bit about how motivating and inspirational the staff, the families, and how really appreciative we are of the work that you do. And it's almost sad to see those students go. I also had the pleasure to help be part of handing out the graduation diplomas to Santa Fe High School, and we did good. Although that one took a long time. That was a couple of hours. I think that was our longest one. I love the recognition of the students, obviously at Pioneer High School, and then at Whittier High School. That was an incredible ceremony, and I did get to hear I think it's the Mills Boys poem directly, and it was powerful hearing it live. I'm sure it's powerful listening to it on the live stream. I do want to highlight that the Whittier Union High School District Foundation did have a couple of events. I haven't heard the actual numbers, but we did a fundraiser from The Stand, which is the restaurant over by Michigan and Whittier Boulevard. And I understand that a number of the schools ordered food from there during lunch and for other activities, so apparently we did pretty good on that one. We had a paint and sip fundraiser on the 30th. And I don't think we'll have any other fundraisers over the summer, but please don't forget that it is a resource available to our current students to participate in extracurricular activities if you know of any students who need that kind of a support. I do want to let my board members know we're losing about, I think, 3 board members, so we really need a few more, particularly, I think, from the Santa Fe High School area or the chamber, if you know of anyone in that area, but obviously from any area in the district. If you have anyone to nominate, please let me know. And it is such a great time to see our students' accomplishments and families. I went to a couple of family members' college graduations, and that was awesome. The other sort of board activities I participated in that were really moving, I went as part of a transit department tour visit to get to see the operations. Obviously hung out with Juan there for a period of time. That was great to be able to ask a lot of questions and observe the operations. I did meet with Mr. Francev to just discuss, whatever we were trying to discuss, and also I had a meeting with CSEA last week with Lori Zaragoza, with Juan, with Myra, and with Chris Crump, and that was a great meeting. I thought that was an opportunity for us to talk and get to know each other and continue what I consider to be a strong partnership. I know that you had some pretty strong words for us today. I respect those words, and hopefully we'll continue our dialogue and discussion. I too attended Yosh Nakamura's 100th birthday celebration, and I want to do a shout out to Dr. Casanera Calleros, who gave such an incredible, warm, respectful, affectionate introduction and thank you to Yosh, who I know appreciated the gifts that you were bearing that particular evening. And so I was moved by your comments and obviously by Yosh. I do want to talk a little bit about obviously the recent events in our community, ICE monitoring, obviously here in our Whittier community area. We're not alone. Obviously they were in Downey, they were in downtown. I understand they may be heading to other parts of Southern California, Orange County, the west side. And particularly, I think what's tough is that many of us, it's so easy to say it doesn't affect me, it's somebody else. I have shared, for those of you who've been at meetings, my own personal childhood experience of INS raids at my home, obviously when I worked the fields with my parents and my grandparents, and so this is very personal to me, and I stand with my colleagues to say no more on this. I want to thank Dr. Oviedo for the notice that went out to our families on Sunday night, well before anybody else had anything out, CSBA or any of the other school associations, that we sent a message to our families that they are welcome, they are safe, and that we support them. So thank you for that and getting that out as quickly as you did. I want to make sure we all stand together to affirm our commitment under Plyler versus Doe that public education is a right for all of our students, regardless of immigration status. And that we are not going to allow, as leaders here in this community, as leaders on this district, to allow these tactics to scare our families, to scare our students, and force them to stay home. Because that is what is happening. On Sunday evening, I received numerous reports, and I grew up in Ventura County, as you know. It's a farm working community. It's also got some urban parts to it. And that there was nobody on the streets, nobody out shopping out of fear of what might happen. And I think that happened here as well. I went to a restaurant last night, and the restaurant closed because their staff had called out. We are seeing it, it's real, and quite frankly, these tactics are not making our country better. There is no positive public policy that comes out of it. I would like to see us as a board be much more proactive in our communications. I think we've got 8 weeks until the first day of school. I know I hate to remind everybody since we're barely slowing down, but I think it's 8 or 8.5 weeks before first day. And we need to use that time to develop our communication strategy, what it is we are going to do to stand up and speak and let our families know that we are with them and supporting them. That is something tangible we can do as a board and as leaders of this organization. And of course, obviously, we stand with all of our families. I want to make sure that even though Mr. Mendez made comments directing comments at me, you know what, when people go low, you go high. My conduct speaks for itself. My comments speak for themselves. And so you can go back and you can look at that meeting about when we were talking about board policy 9310. It's absolutely clear. It was collaborative. It was raising issues. Absolutely. Did I submit some comments? That's exactly when I'm supposed to bring it up to the board so we can talk about it. And so to be criticized for doing my job obviously is silly. And of course, I don't appreciate Mr. Mendez's comments, but quite frankly, as I've said before, don't be fooled by Mr. Mendez. Don't be fooled.
The red
Pay
is the
attention.
amendments.
Anyway, with respect to facial expressions, obviously I did not interrupt Mr. Mendez during his commentary. You know, I do my best to stay as calm as I can, but there are times when comments are made that really push your limit. And so if to the extent that Mr. Mendez perceived one of my facial expressions to be of disrespect to him, I will just say that it was not a disrespect to him as a person, but to my disagreement to his comments because I felt that they had crossed a line. And so I will continue to work very hard on behalf of every single student, family, staff member to ensure that we do what is best for our students and to ensure that we provide the best educational services that we can so that they are successful. And I am glad that those of you who are here, who are listening, can hear our comments because this is the time for us to be united and not be divided. And I am moving forward. I don't care what anybody says. I know myself, I know my strength, I know who I am, I know what I've done, I know what I've said. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. And so therefore, if anyone ever wants to talk to me about anything that they've heard, please come talk to me. We'll have lunch, breakfast, a cup of coffee. CSEA may be saying some stuff that they feel they've said in the past that maybe some of us that they perceive may have taken umbrage to. I can tell you that is absolutely untrue. I respect your right to say everything that you want to say. We may not agree 100%, but I respect it just as I know, Juan, when you and I sit down, you respect me and you respect my perspective, and you're a good listener, I'm a good listener. That's what we're here. That's what we want to accomplish. Together, we will do phenomenal things. This is a phenomenal district that is a model to the rest of Southern California, if not the state, given what we do, our team, our phenomenal teachers. So I want to end on a positive note to say thank you for another great academic year, and to wish you as much rest as you possibly can get over the summer, but come back ready because we've got more work to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report tonight, Ms. Rodriguez-Moisa. I think I'm going to begin with sharing some of my activities over the last month or so, and then I'm going to probably finish by commenting on the ICE raids and how they've affected our community. But let me go ahead and begin with my report on events I've attended. I did go to the Engage East Whittier event back on May 16th, seems like a lifetime ago. And when I went, I made some observations about their state of the district, and I think I'm going to be able to share those comments later on in the agenda. We're going to talk about our state of the district outline, and hopefully we'll be able to get some ideas generated there. I did attend the Whittier High School Senior Awards Night. My takeaway is I don't know how these kids sleep, but they're phenomenal. And Mr. Favela, thank you and your team for organizing that. It's so wonderful to have not only the seniors but their families be able to be a part of that celebration. I was able to go to most of the Santa Fe High School Senior Award nights. And Mr. Campbell, thank you very much for your help. And my takeaway there is similar to Whittier High School. Both those senior award nights show the breadth and depth of the partnerships with the alumni and local community leaders, civic leaders who provide generosity to scholarships. And I know the other comprehensive sites can say the same thing and make the same claims. But it's really humbling and uplifting to see how many communities are supporting our kids to be able to get them to the next phase of their dreams, whether it's college or trade school or the armed forces or what have you. It's really good to see. I did attend the Whittier High School Puente Senior Breakfast as well. To be honest, I was there at kind of double duty as dad and as a board member. And I want to thank Trustee Conchola for giving the keynote that day. Mr. Favela, you were there as well, and Dr. Oviedo. I believe there's nothing that needs to be said about Ms. Conchola's integrity, and for her to share her personal story with the kids it took a lot of courage, but also as a means of reminding them that this world needs them to step up and be the leaders that we're developing them to be, and to not waste any time in stepping into the best version of themselves. It was a call to action that I think they really took to heart. So thank you, Trustee Conchola, for sharing that. Helpline Youth Counseling, I was able to go to part of their event and found out that I won the Dodger basket, so I don't have to go shopping for Father's Day now. I say, Dad, here you go. Here's your 2024 Dodgers Championship basket. But on a serious note, it's really good to raise money for Helpline Youth Counseling. Jeff Farber does an amazing job with his organization. And I know in Jen Medina, you'll get to know them better if you don't already know them in terms of the work we do and how they help our students with that wraparound support. I want to shout out to USEC. All-time high, 438 total graduates from all three schools. That is amazing. And so I'm so pleased to Dr. Moriarty and your team, thank you so much. I attended the Whittier High School graduation. I don't know how I did it, but I was able to make it through without crying. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful to be able to just be on that stage. But when you're walking, and any of my colleagues who have attended graduations can relate to this, when you're walking down on the field and you hear the roar of the crowd as they see the students, right? That's when you really hear the roar. And to be able to hear that, to feel that and to live through that. I know for the students that were able to sit on stage with us, it was phenomenal. They felt it, and it moved them very much. So that's something that you never forget. And then I did attend the Yosh Nakamura almost 100th birthday. He's 99. He'll be 100 on, I think, Monday, June 30th. And God willing, he'll get there. But to be able to be a part of that community, to meet his family, and to recognize his long tradition of helping the district and teaching at Whittier High School and being the first faculty member at Rio Hondo College, and just all the contributions that he's made. And it wasn't lost on me, I guess you can call it bitter irony, that here we were actually thanking him for standing up to totalitarianism, to fascism, to racism at the Whittier Public Library on Thursday night. And fast forward a few scant days later, and ICE is using it as a reconnaissance area. And here we are. It's like the clock is turned back to the 1930s and 1940s. And I'll share with you, this hits home for me too. I haven't shared this with very many people, but my paternal grandfather was deported. They called it repatriation back in the 1930s. I know many of you are familiar with that history. A lot of Mexican Americans were rounded up and sent on trains down to Mexico. You know, they had never been there before. So he was sent down to Durango to meet family he didn't even know. His Spanish was a little broken at the time, but by the time he got there, he had to learn it, sink or swim. And he never recovered from that. He became an alcoholic. He raised 3 wonderful kids. One of them, my dad, who's still alive. And as he became an alcoholic, he would point, he would raise his voice, he would gesture. And so when that happens on this board, it does trigger me. It takes me back to my alcoholic grandfather who couldn't recover from his repatriation and who always had that anger for law enforcement and that anger for people that deported him. And so is it hard to be yelled at on this board and to be pointed at and to be ridiculed? Yeah, it is sometimes. But my love for this district overwhelms that anxiety. And I'm able to fight through being triggered because I love being a board member. Can you tell? And this is the best district to be a board member for.
Yeah, but when you do it, how does it make me feel?
I didn't
when
interrupt.
you make fun of my childhood in a study session. So you gotta practice with your preach, Russell.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mendez.
Yes.
And if you want to see my notes,
You're welcome.
You're happy
You're
to
welcome.
view my notes.
Thank you,
Thank you
proceed.
very much. I appreciate you speaking out. And in terms of the what we can do as a district, I think there's a lot that we have in common that we can do together as a board, believe it or not. And I really appreciate my colleagues saying that we can do more, we need to do more. So at some point, I think there are some things that we can do with our community and with each other. And Sylvia Soto, I see you in the audience, and I appreciate the work you do at the county office that you work at in South Whittier. And there are partners like Sylvia who are already front-facing with the community in South Whittier, in Los Nietos, in Santa Fe Springs, and East Whittier, North Whittier, North Norwalk, West Whittier, all the parts of our district where ICE has gone to. We can create linkages, and we can actually maybe send out weekly communiques about, look, we have this resource for you. Here's what we're doing to strengthen this resource in this part of our community. Or here's where we saw ICE in this part of the community. Just to be able to provide information for each other in real time, there are some things that we can do. And I'm willing to be part of those conversations if this board's willing to work together. But I think I'll stop for that for now. I don't want to go speak on and on. But I do really appreciate my board members for bringing their passion, for keeping our focus on students. We all love students, we all want to serve students. Sometimes we disagree on how, but I think we have more in common than we do in difference. And I'm going to continue to practice what I preach, so I appreciate the reminder to do that. And in closing, I am reaching out to each trustee to assess progress made on our goals and our protocols that we agreed to back on March 1st. And so I'll reach out to each trustee this summer, and if the trustees are open to having a one-on-one with me, I'd like to hear how things have been going for them, if they see room for improvement. I'm all about self-improvement, I'm all about transparency, and I've been board president for 6 months, so if there are some things that they like to see changed, I'm all for hearing it in a one-on-one meeting. And then we'll see what we can do the rest of my 6 months of the presidency. And then also to be able to address what are some things that we haven't brought to light here in terms of our agendizing. And we'll talk about that later today in terms of other future agenda topics, so I don't want to go off base there. I think that's it for now. Thank you for indulging me. I appreciate your attention. So with that, I will turn to Dr. Oviedo.
Thank you. So good evening all. Congratulations to all of our school and district staff for their tireless efforts ensuring that our graduations went so beautifully. Our district and site operations crews, clerical staff, bus drivers, counselors, paraprofessionals, teachers, and administrators ensured that every detail was attended to with what we believe may be our highest graduation rates to date. 2,435 students graduated in ceremonies held last week. An additional 175 adults earned their high school diploma, with an additional 42 students who need a little extra time and support to finish by the end of the summer. I'm also tremendously pleased with each school's tireless efforts at increasing the number of FAFSA completers from 76% last year to 98.5% this year. This is a testament to the hard work of all of our counselors, Horizons directors, college center support staff, nonprofit partners, and site administrators working together to support students' next steps in pursuing their post-secondary plans. I do want to share that when I say support staff, I am making a reference to all of the classified staff who work in our offices and support families and students. Congratulations also go to Pioneer High School baseball, who won the CIF State Regional Division 5 Championship, beating Corcoran High 4-1 on Saturday. We will be working with Ms. Chapman and Coach Espinosa to recognize them at a future board meeting. Tomorrow morning kicks off our Superintendent's Council retreat, where we'll spend the next 3 days with the principals reviewing this year and planning for next. Our retreat will include brainstorming ways to increase enrollment and align our budget with the potential state cuts in the governor's May revision. As a result of the board's weekly, the board's weekly update, the next one will be next week on June 18th. I have agreed to serve as the president-elect for our local AXA Region 15 charter, which is WASA, as well as to continue in my role as co-leader of the Region 15 superintendents. And as a result, I'll be attending a region leadership retreat, which takes place all day on June 17th and the morning of June 18th. Every summer, our professional learning department provides a myriad of training opportunities for certificated and classified staff. Some new offerings include 2 full days of classified staff development on June 17 and August 8. This upcoming Professional Learning Day offers a diverse range of sessions designed to empower classified staff with valuable skills and knowledge. Many of the topics came from them, their requests. Topics include managing stress, personal financial literacy, and several technology-focused sessions, including the Google Suite, Gemini, Forms, and Sheets. Attendees can also look forward to an update on Canva, a graphic design platform, as well as a session entitled Spanish Basics for the Workplace. Following up on requests of the board last month, we will partner with LACO's Immigration Relations Program to host a webinar titled Know Your Educational Rights, Supporting Families and Students with Immigration Concerns. It was scheduled for later this summer. I have asked Dr. Hernandez to reach out to see if we can move that forward since it's very timely. This informative session will feature Freddie Ruiz, LACO's Immigration Relations Coordinator, who often facilitates connections between nonprofit agencies and schools. Additionally, as I've shared with the board, the Whittier Police Department has clearly defined the role related to immigration enforcement. Chief Barr confirmed in writing, which I shared with all of you, their adherence to the California Values Act, which explicitly prohibits them from participating, they, as well as the LA Sheriff's Department, prohibits them from participating in civil immigration warrants, immigration investigations, or transferring any individual to immigration authorities unless authorized by a judicial warrant signed by a judge. He also shared that these are formally codified in Whittier Police Department's Policy 428. Finally, and also my letter to earlier in the week was a reference. We did share, again, those resources that are off of our landing page on immigration, and one of those is specifically related to family preparedness plan and post-separation support. So we've alerted to families to those resources, and I appreciate Mrs. Bozijing also providing a list of talking points for staff to share information should families call the offices. And finally, I did take a call today from Richard Barrera, a CDE Senior Policy Advisor for State Superintendent Tony Thurmond. Mr. Barrera is putting together a work group to look at establishing best practices for school processes should immigration officials arrive at one of our schools with the officially signed judicial warrant. What happens in that situation? That has not happened at any school in Southern California as of yet. But what should, if that happen? And I have said yes, that I will participate in that work group. He anticipates this work happening a little later this month with the goal to have all processes in place for the new school year. Lastly, our Williams Quarterly Report is included and features no findings. And that does conclude my report.
Thank you, Dr. Oviedo, for that report. Okay, now we will pivot to our consent calendar, item 12.01. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
I'd like to remove one item.
Okay, so we will now bifurcate the motion to approve the consent calendar. And I hear that there are two items that, from Mr. Lopez and Mr. Mendez, that they'd like to pull.
Well, for me, two.
Two items from Mr. Lopez? Okay. And then one item from Ms. Conchola?
Yes, I just want to recuse myself from item 12.16, so that it's not a conflict of interest or appears to be a conflict of interest in terms of my professional role in Puente.
Thank you for clarifying that, Ms. Conchola. Mr. Lopez, and then Mr. Mendez, you're next. Mr. Lopez, could you indicate which items?
Yeah, 12.14.
12.14, and was there a second one, Mr. Lopez?
Yeah, 12.16.
Okay. Oh, okay. Mr. Mendez, was there an item in particular?
12:15.
12.15, okay. Okay, so.
What if I amend my motion then?
Please do.
I move to approve the consent calendar with the exceptions of items 12.14, 12.15, and 12.16.
Thank you for amending. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Controlla. Okay. All in favor of moving the consent calendar except for 12.14, 12.15, and 12.16, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Very good. The ayes have it. So the consent calendar except for 12.14, 12.15, 12.16 has been approved. And so now we go to 12.14.
Mr. Chair, I'm the one that pulled this item.
Yes, sir.
I just want to speak on Title I, the second document, Title I, Part A, Local Education Agency, district level parent and family engagement policy. First and foremost, I see, I'm not sure if it's formatted correctly, but you know, at the bottom of the document, there was a name and title and the signature of authorized official. There's no signature on there, and then so I just wondering if that's if we need a signature on there to either send it off to other people.
It will be tomorrow after it's approved.
Okay, and that would be Ms. Hernandez, right? Okay. Thank you. And also, I just want to speak to, you know, this talks very extensive about parent engagement. So I'm just wondering, considering what's happening of late, is there, you know, getting nonprofits involved and such, can we offer this or this just you know, offer maybe some resources available to the parents, or is this just very specific to one resource that's available to the parents? If that makes sense.
Dr. Oviedo, do you understand the question?
So with respect to the Title I Parent Compact?
Yeah.
So that is specific to the relationship between parents, the school, and the student, all taking ownership and for their success. And so there's typically some bullets under each section that articulate what each group is responsible for in supporting student success. But through the larger, the office that typically coordinates and facilitates the approval of this through School Site Council is our Expanded Horizons office, who also oversees the support for our English Language Advisory Committee. And so many resources do flow through that office for both parents and students. So those resources, the Horizons office, and with several of the schools have a parent center, those resources flow through those offices as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, very good. So I'll call the question for item 12.14. Is there a motion to pass 12.14?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Ms. Conchola, seconded by Mr. Lopez. All in favor of 12.14, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 12.15. Mr. Mendez, did you want to speak to this one?
Yeah, so I used to be a member of ROP board, and I don't now, but I've always wondered if I was on ROP board, can I vote for this? Because now I'm concerned about whether or not I can do it. So that's, if you can't answer, I think Terrence is the guy to ask.
I was just looking to make eye contact with legal counsel. Terrence, did you hear the question from Mr. Mendez about if it's advisable to
I can take a stab at it first.
Dr. Oviedo?
So you are only on the ROP board because you sit on the Whittier Union High School District board.
Right.
And so for that reason, as part of the bylaws of this establishment of the JPB for Tri-Cities ROP and the establishment of 2 of our Whittier Union board members, 2 El Rancho board members, and then Mr. Jamero, typically the deputy superintendent, I don't see that as a conflict of interest.
I agree, Superintendent. She should have went to law school.
Because each member gets a stipend, so that doesn't bar an ROP board member from voting?
No, you're essentially a constituent member of the JPA.
Okay.
And so that your service and your stipend is in furtherance of your role on this board.
Okay.
So I think you're good.
Sounds good. You're good. You're good tomorrow.
Any other questions on 12.15? Is there a motion to?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Lopez, seconded by Ms. Conchola. Any, let's call the question. All in favor of 12.15, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you. 12.16. So I believe there's an abstention that will be taking place. You're going to recuse yourself.
I'm going to recuse myself. Call me when you're ready.
You'll be leaving the room. Okay, we will let you know.
Sorry.
In the meantime, I know Mr. Lopez had a question.
We're good for Mrs. Controller to.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Miss
Let's
it.
take our
Sorry, I can't
time.
run.
Slow my roll, as they say. My daughter would be proud of that. It's just dad being extra, right? Okay, Ms. Conchola has recused herself, and Mr. Lopez, you may begin.
I do have a question. I know in the past, this agreement, we had 3 years. 3 years, and I'm just wondering why only 2 years this time?
Ms. Bozigian, would you like to take that question?
We got this as a 2-year agreement. I don't know why it came to us as a 2-year agreement this year. I don't know why they changed it to a 2-year agreement. Yeah, it's a 2-year agreement.
And two, don't we get a really, considering that's going to impact 3 comprehensive high schools, don't we get a nice report of, you know, what they've done in the past 3 years to really inform the community of what they've done? I know we did this with Avid, and then, give me a second.
And while you're...
Give me a second. Sure. Give me a second. Sure. Thank you. You know, the cost of, you know, Avid 23, 24, it was a report. So I'm just wondering, why can't we request this, you know, and I'd like to see this. how much cost breakdown, the benefits and maybe, like I've asked before, in terms of comparison, maybe Avid versus, Puente.
So, I'm sorry.
So anyway, it was super helpful when we got a cost breakdown of all the expenses of Avid. I just wonder, I don't see that in the presentation, or maybe a nice presentation would help out. And this is, of course, prior to we vote on this.
So there is no cost to, there's no enrollment cost for the Puente program, unlike Avid, which has a registration cost and a whole bunch of guidelines that require money. The only request by Puente is that we set aside some dollars for students to attend field trips and other expenses that the program that they might need. So they get a little bit of general fund money to run their program. But there's no expense for the Puente program. The Puente program and the Avid program are very different in what their requirements are during the particular school day and throughout the 4 years. Although their mission is to support college readiness students, particularly underprivileged students. We had a presentation by Mrs. Castro, if you remember, on the Puente program, and the expectation moving forward is that there will be presentations by our school sites on their success with the program.
Well, I don't feel, when you said moving forward, Dr. Viedo, I'd like to see it now. This would have been a nice presentation before I voted, before this item came up, so I'd like to see, and I'm sure the community would like to see, how successful we are using Puente. So anyway, just, that's a concern of mine. I'd like to see it, honestly, I'd like to see a presentation.
Mr. Mendez.
So I'm concerned that when you say is that, so we pay for ourselves, Puente has guidelines, correct?
Yes, Puente has guidelines.
But we don't have to follow them, is that correct?
The expectation is that we follow this MOU.
Do we follow the MOU?
Yes, we do.
So how many underprivileged students do we have in Puente?
Every school is different, and if you give me about 10 minutes, I'm sure that the principals can share with me the actual numbers. But I believe that there's at least 2 sections at every school, which would be 60 students per grade level times 4 grades. So we're looking at 240 students times the 3 schools that we have.
So 3 years ago, I had somebody from my community complain about trying to get in. And so I called someone who works for Whittier, and I asked, what are the standards by Whittier? And I was told, well, Whittier Union does their own thing for Whittier. They don't necessarily follow the standards, but they kind of tweak here and there. And I don't, the person said they don't think that they are predominantly low-income kids or students of need. And so that kind of surprised me back then. So I'm curious about how Puente is made up, what requirements Puente is asking of us, and how we meet their requirements. Because if it's described as what the person tells me is that Whittier Union is not in compliance because they don't follow their guidelines, I'm concerned. But I know one other thing is that in regards to voting for this, Ms. Conchola did not need to leave, because according to our board policy 92.7 is that somebody who has a disqualifying conflict of interest on an agenda item will be heard in an open meeting shall abstain from voting on the matter, which Ms. Conchola did. He or she may remain on the dais, but his or her presence shall not be counted towards achieving a quorum for that matter. So that's what our board policy says. So Ms. Conchola was under no obligation to leave, just to let you know
Thank you for those questions. She made that choice to leave, and I respect her choice.
Sure.
And in terms of the questions raised tonight, I know that getting them answered is integral to making an informed decision. But this is why I think it's really important to let staff know ahead of time if you have questions about something on the agenda. And some of these could have been researched this afternoon, this morning, last night, yesterday afternoon. Dr. Oviedo could have reached out to cabinet to get some of these answers, maybe not all of them, but some. And that's why I sent the email I did last night. So I just want to make that point. You may not like it, but I'm trying to be an effective board president to elevate our performance as a board because the community's counting on us to be informed. So just want to make that point. Thank you. Any other questions on this?
I was going to make a comment because I do recall the presentation we had on the Puente program, and I thought it was from the two teachers from La Serna High School, if memory serves right. And the way I understood it work is, however the selection process happens, they are capped at the number of teachers who are available to teach the cohorts. I guess it's in English and perhaps, I'll call it a social studies, I know that's not the proper term, but World Civ or whatever, that was my recollection. I too had, I think, the same call from the same parent that called Mr. Mendez about, hey, my daughter didn't get selected. And there was a follow-up, as I understood, and eventually the daughter was in fact put in the blended program. My understanding was it had to do with space, and obviously they have to do an application process or something. One of the things I'll add is that when you look at the MOU, it does specify what the, I'll call it, hard cost is to the district. The hard cost is the $7,000 that we commit for whatever those activities are. And that's spelled out, it doesn't have a page number, but it's spelled out in terms of the partner site program cost section, which is towards the end, the second to last page of the contract. And my sense here is that the Whittier program has been very successful for our students. The students who participate in it get the benefit of learning together, having particular programs. They get to go to do some of the field trips. And so I know we had a presentation my first year on the board on the Whittier program, so I appreciate that there, I don't recall the avid report, but I do appreciate the spirit in which the comment is made in the sense that that would have been nice to say, hey, and over the last year, et cetera, we've served 240 students, 90% of whom went on to enroll in a community college or four-year university. But without that data, even myself, I mean, I'm very comfortable approving a 2-year project with the Blenta program. But I appreciate the sentiment.
There are 548 students that are in the Blenta program at the free schools.
I will take the president's advice and I will submit a list of questions to be answered.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, did you want to chime in?
Absolutely.
Please.
I'm going to ask some questions in regards to the Whittier program. Again, I'm not opposed to this, but I think the community deserves the right to know if it's a 3-year contract, it's a 2-year or whatnot. And then in addition to that, yes, it's been a year, but guess what? I want to know how many students, well, I have a variety of questions. I think it's just to be a night and be, doing our due diligence, have a presentation, and then let's vote on it. And so that's my asking. And also, Trustee Rodriguez Moisa, she was all, yeah, it's in there. Really? And so why can't we do that for the public? Just, get that data and add it to the presentation. So anyway, I just want to I respectfully ask for a presentation before we move on. So, thank you.
And thank you very much, Mr. Lopez. Any other comments from my colleagues? I have a few comments to make. I can't speak to all three Puente programs. I am informed about the Whittier High School Puente program, having just attended the banquet. And I know Mr. Varela is here. Both he and Ms. Maxine Sweeney, who oversees the Puente program, and along with another member of the team, presented slides that showed that Puente students were outperforming their counterparts who are not in Puente across multiple indicators. I don't have the data in front of me, but when I saw it, it was very impressive. And I would imagine it would be the similar scenario with the other two sites. So I think whatever questions that you have about performance and effectiveness, I think will be answered favorably with the data that will be provided. But my question now is turning to Dr. Oviedo and Ms. Bozigian. Are there any consequences that are unintended if this agreement is not supported tonight? Because I'm thinking because of the LCAP meeting dominating the agenda for the second June board meeting, this could kick it to July. So are we at risk of causing delay with?
It could impact our teachers being able to attend Summer Institute. I think that the questions that you ask, we can definitely turn that around very quickly so that you'll feel confident to vote on the June 24th. We still will have consent items on June 24, and we can add it back
We
into
can
that
add it in
agenda.
our board weekly update. To share with you, we've had a 30-year relationship with Puente. So it's been a long program here in the Whittier Union High School District. But we can answer any kind of questions that you may have in our board weekly update.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And just respectfully asking for a presentation.
Understood? Okay, so I think it's time to call the question. I don't think we have the votes, but.
I don't think we had a motion to approve this one, but I did have a comment. There's a difference between a presentation versus providing information in the board weekly update. So I think what I heard the superintendent say was submit the questions, answers will be provided before the next meeting, but it will be put on the consent item. Or obviously we're going to talk at some
So
point
my
about
hope would be that we can put it on the consent and approve it, and then schedule, when we get into the item, schedule this as a presentation within the board calendar in the very near future.
Give me a second here.
So all of the questions that you have answered, but when our teachers are on break, and typically they would be front and center at presenting in any presentation, and so they're off for the summer.
So we already have a presentation, correct?
We don't have currently a scheduled presentation for Puente.
No, what I'm saying, we do have a presentation that was shared with us a year ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
By Mrs. Castro.
Correct. So we can, again, there's data out there. It's old data, exactly. There's old data. I just want to see the new data. Again, for the public to see the success of the program. So anyway, we can go back and forth, but we'll talk about it. I'll speak with our chair.
Let me do this, because I think I would like to move this item to the June 24, 2025 agenda, so that Mr. Mendez and Mr. Lopez have an opportunity to submit in writing their questions. But I do think we have to move it to that agenda, or risk our teachers not being able to participate in summer programming and training.
No, we pay for it anyway, so this isn't contingent on funding, right? Is this contingent on funding?
For their participation in Summer Institute, we
Their summer
need
PD,
an MOU.
if their summer PD.
So why can't you do that without this?
Because this MOU definitely codifies.
It provides that we are part of the Puente program. Whittier Union is part of the Puente
There's
program
travel
with this
to
MOU.
Northern California for training.
That's weird because Where do you see that? Maybe I'm looking at something wrong.
Is item, this is $3,000 for Summer Institute, Puente E.
So it has two documents. One is a
Yes.
memo saying that, really just a mission statement. And so, oh, the cooperative agreement, let me see.
It's an Exhibit A, Puente Summer Institute.
Staff Professional Development, Puente Summer Institute.
Exhibit A.
Yes.
So that
It's
would
on
be my
page
motion,
11.
is that we move this item to the June 24 board agenda so that the questions can be submitted and responses provided.
Motion on the table is to move 12.16 to the June 24th board agenda, not part of the consent calendar, but one of the new action items.
Wait,
Is there a
wait,
second?
so tell me where specifically does it say our teachers?
If you go to the contract,
I'm on page 11.
yes, so if you go to page 11, it says Exhibit A. Do you see that? At the very top is a header that says Exhibit A.
Right.
The Puente project, page 11 of 14. And then it has Roman numeral 1, responsibilities of Puente, subsection A, staff professional development, then subsection 1, Puente Summer Institute. And these are the responsibilities of Puente, that is what Puente agrees to provide to us and our people under the MOU.
So there's a motion?
It hasn't been seconded.
Exactly.
I'm not thinking.
No, I know, but are you, my question, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'd like to second that, trustee.
Okay, the motion's been moved and seconded.
So, but hold, give me a second.
We got discussion.
I like with this idea, again, a nice PowerPoint presentation of this, you know, all the things that were covered 2 years ago, right? This is a 2-year contract. It's super important for the community to know, principals to know, this, and administrators to know how we're doing with this program. That's all.
Understood,
Yeah,
and
that's all.
you asked a question earlier, Mr. Lopez, like, well, how come it's not coming before us? How come we're not getting slides? How come we're not getting data in detail on open session? I think was your question. The public has a right to know.
Mhm.
Well, generally, staff will put non-controversial items on a consent calendar, but if we want to delve deeper as a board, then
Yeah.
we can do that.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
So the motion's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor of this motion to move till June 24th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have one abstention.
Oh, Ms. Control.
Yes, and for the
No,
record.
no, you're wrong. You can't do that.
Please correct me. Go ahead.
She's abstaining from voting, not making an abstention.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the correction. Nothing like fraternal correction. Okay, so the motion is 4-0, correct? Okay. And then for the record, at 9:04, Ms. Conchola had to leave due to a family emergency. I just wanted that noted on the minutes. Our thoughts go with her. That is the last of the items that got pulled, correct, colleagues? Okay. So that brings us to item 13, proposals and discussion. We now have a public hearing on the 2025-26 district LCAP budget. So to present, I believe we have a couple of people, right, Dr. Oviedo?
Yes, to start off, we have our Director of Assessment and Accountability, Mr. Liggett.
Not everybody just saw my password there. All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It is my pleasure to present the annual update to the LCAP, the Local Control and Accountability Plan. Just kind of as a reminder about the LCAP, the fact it's local is something that reflects the fact that it's designed by and applicable to us, Whittier Union. As far as the control part, that is giving us as a school district control over how to use a certain portion of state funding that is designed to support high-needs students. And for the context of the LCAP and LCFF dollars, when we talk about high needs, statute defines that as students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, or students who are foster youth, or students who are English learners. You will sometimes hear those students referred to as unduplicated, because for the purposes of funding, even though a student might qualify in multiple categories, they only count once. And that, when we look at that student population in Whittier Union, that's approximately 78% of our students.
But that doesn't prevent others from participating.
Absolutely, correct. What the statute says is we have to principally direct those funds to services that support those students, but given the high percentage of students that we have in this district, you're absolutely right, that doesn't preclude others from benefiting from the programs. Correct. And then the accountability part allows Whittier Union to define and measure student success. And this is a departure from the way state funding used to be tied to very strict categories. This was a change that came into play in about 2014. And so the way the LCAP cycle works, if we think about the annual process, 1 year ago, in June of 2024, the Board of Trustees adopted a new 3-year LCAP plan. And then most recently in February of 2025, the board received a report on year-to-date plan progress. And then what you're getting tonight is a report on year 1 progress and an annual update, which is this 160-page document right here to our LCAP plan.
I'm sorry, Mr. Liggett.
Sure.
So I remember in the past where we got scheduled meetings for the LCAP at our school. Has that occurred yet? Will we be getting notices of that?
So each of the school sites did what they call LCAP advisory meetings at 3 different times during the school year. There was a round in October, there was a round in late January, early February, and then a 3rd round in April. So that parents and community members and students can put their voices into the process. When we look at our LCAP document, this 160-page work here, it's broadly broken up into 5 goals. And these goals are in alignment with a number of things. They're in alignment with the WASC accreditation goals, which a process that all of our schools have to go through for their diplomas to carry weight for college acceptance. As I'm sure you recall, USEC and Pioneer High School and Lucerna High School went through that process this year. These goals, though, I think probably more importantly to us tonight, are aligned with the district goals that are outlined in Board Policy 0200, which was just revised by this board last summer. Each goal in the LCAP is measured by a number of different metrics that have baseline data, they have year 1 data, and then they have year 3 target values. And each goal is broken up into actions that are designed to support that goal. We have 4 broad goals that apply to the entire district. There is a 5th goal, which is relatively new to the LCAP. Last year was the first year this goal existed. This is what's called a focused goal relating to a source of funding known as equity multiplier. This only applies to our 2 alternative sites, Frontier High School and Sierra Vista High School, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes.
Great.
But to go through the goals, goal 1, again, these are all fairly familiar to us because of our board policy, which lines up. Goal 1 is organization. And when we look at the key actions in the LCAP under organization, this really reflects an investment in our most important resource as an organization, which is our people. It's our classified staff, our teachers, our administrators, our academic counselors, which are actually called out separately here because we do have different types of counselors out at our school sites that are referenced in different portions of the document. And this section also speaks to our commitment to professional development. Dr. Oviedo was talking about our upcoming classified professional development on the 2 dates this summer. And in terms of teacher professional development, that process has already begun for the summer. So goal 1 is that investment in the people who are working to support our students or supporting those who directly support our students. Goal 2 is all about what happens in the classroom. It is our curriculum, our instruction goal, curriculum, what is taught, instruction, how it's taught. Key actions that support Goal 2, our district's commitment to purchasing quality textbooks for student use to ensure that all students have access to textbooks and other instructional materials, either at home or at school. Access to technology, that could be teacher-led technology, but that could also be student technology. As you know, we're a one-to-one Chromebook district where all of our students have a device that's theirs during their 4 years with us. That also supports our intervention classes that some students have in their schedules. If they are found to be, say, for example, off target for graduation, they might be in a class called Guided Studies at a number of our sites. The intervention class work is supported under Goal 2. And then our college and career pathways, that's our career technical education pathways, as well as college readiness initiatives such as Avid and Puente covered under Goal 2.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
So would that also cover dual enrollment, and is it treated differently?
So for dual enrollment, we do, the answer is yes, short answer yes. And because for dual enrollment, what we're really doing is we're supporting the students by, for example, purchasing the textbooks that they might need for the class. So we buy sets of books so that they don't have to pay for those expenses. Goal number 3, assessment and accountability. And honestly, when I think about the successes of our district, I think really the cornerstone is here in Goal 3. When we talk about common assessments and collaboration, one of the things that makes our district so different, whatever happened on the test, they would move on. And that's thankfully not the Whittier Union way that's worked for us for about the past 2 decades. There's so much work that goes into looking at student results, both to figure out what they need to reteach, but also to identify students who might need additional intervention. That gets into the second bullet point, intervention specialists on all of our comprehensive sites who are teachers who are released for 2 periods to specifically oversee our intervention programs on each site and provide additional supports to students. That common assessment work is facilitated by course leads, so course lead stipends are covered under Goal 3. But we also recognize that a key component of college readiness are college readiness exams. So something Whittier Union has done for many years is paid for the cost of the PSAT for any student who wants to take it. We have 2 school sites this year that actually decided to give the PSAT to all 9th, 10th, and 11th graders so they can all have that opportunity, and plans are to expand that going into next year.
Let me ask for intervention specialists.
Sure.
Do we at each comprehensive make note, take record, track how many interventions are happening in a period of time, and how much time is spent on a student, how much time can be spent on one student?
That's a really good question. When we talk about student interactions in our student information system called ARIES, when there are those types of student interactions, those are logged and recorded. But I don't know, you raised an interesting question about time, about person hours, and I'm not sure that that's something that we explicitly track in the way that I think you're describing, but that's certainly something we could look at.
Am I getting into contract language if I ask that?
I'm not the contract language expert,
okay.
so.
Mr. Lopez, did you have a question?
Yes. Do we have enough intervention specialists? And maybe again, it could be a contract question, but I'm just, is there a need? Is there more specialists that need to fill in this role?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a question I'm necessarily qualified to answer if there's enough. I mean, there's the part of me that says we always want to do better for kids and that there's never enough. But at the same time, we're running with the same number of intervention release periods now that we were 15 years ago. We actually have fewer students in need of intervention now, fewer students off track for graduation now than we did, say, 10, 15 years ago. The other thing I'll throw into that last part is AP exams. That's another huge part of college readiness. There's a ton of research out there that shows that students who take AP exams tend to be more successful in college. Whether they pass the AP exams or not doesn't actually matter. It's just taking them seems to be that commitment, that being willing to take on a challenge. We subsidize the cost of AP exams for students. Most of our students are able to take AP exams where they pay only $5 per exam. This year we made sure that every student got at least one exam for just $5, so that any student who wanted an AP exam had at least one at that reduced price. Goal 4, super important to all of our schools, culture and support. Some of the key actions there, the funding of our district categorical office, overseen by Dr. Hernandez, which does a lot of our parent outreach, our DLAC meetings, a lot of translation services, and also administers a lot of the state and federal monies that aren't necessarily covered here in the LCAP. Our Site Horizons offices, which were already brought up this evening, which provide a ton of support at our school sites for our English learners, as well as our students who are exploring career pathways, college application process, financial aid application process, helping our students in FAFSA. We have some great data about FAFSA completion tonight, and there's a lot of hard work that goes on there. Intervention counselors, so I mentioned there are different types of counselors. Our intervention counselors, they're counselors that take on typically a smaller caseload on most campuses, a more targeted caseload of students who might be off target, might be fostering youth, English learners, might just need a little bit extra support, and by having a smaller caseload, they can provide a little bit more one-on-one attention for students. So that's something under Goal 4. And then our district student wellbeing initiative. My colleague Amy Larson did a phenomenal presentation about our student wellbeing program earlier this year. All of that is encompassed under Goal 4, under culture and support. Goal number 5, this is the one that is specific to Frontier and Sierra Vista. So about a year ago, the state created a new category of funding for schools called Equity Multiplier. And for a school to qualify for Equity Multiplier funding, they have to have two things. They have to have a high percentage of socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and they have to have a high rate of student non-stability. And student non-stability means students who transfer in and out during the school year. So you have a high number of students that transfer in and out, which alternative schools are going to have by their very nature, that qualifies you for this additional Equity Multiplier funding. The Equity Multiplier goal has to be written very directly to the California School Dashboard, and so it has to address student performance. And so it's really designed to try to bring students at Frontier and Sierra Vista's academic performance up. And some key actions that have been identified by stakeholders at Frontier and Sierra Vista are additional support staffing, particularly when it comes to social emotional learning, technology, both for students and staff, student incentives, and we've seen this play out this year. It's been great to be exposed to some of the things USEC does here on this campus this year, but all kinds of lunch activities to really make USEC have a feeling that is more similar to that of a comprehensive site in terms of getting students connected with activities.
So at USEC, I'm sorry. So with students coming in and out of Frontier and Sierra, there's not a lot of stability with them being at those campuses.
Right.
So is that what we talk about, non-stability at the site, or?
Correct, it's at the site, and I'll tell you a little bit of background. When this law was written, it actually wasn't intended for alternative schools. It was actually intended for schools that have large migrant populations, particularly, for example, in the Central Valley, schools that have families that move around with the seasons, and it was designed to support them. But the way they wrote the language, every alternative school in the state qualified because of the nature of their populations, as you say, moving in and out. But it is designed to try to help those students be more successful, since you don't necessarily have them for the entirety of an academic year, to try to get as much impact as you can for the time you have
So
them.
my last question on this one.
Please.
Is what does the budget look like from year to year?
Sure.
In this area?
So this is new. This is only our second year. So we budgeted about $600,000 of Equity Multiplier money specifically for Frontier and Sierra Vista High School.
Should be getting A's and B's then.
Right. And then the last bullet point there is extra tutoring for students at our alternative campuses.
Mr. Lippett has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On this slide.
On this student incentives.
Sure.
In addition to all the things that we offer for incentives, right? Is there a possibility to maybe continue that and introduce
this intrinsic learning, if there's such thing that's happening already now.
Sure.
You know, yeah, activities during lunch, but you know what? Getting an A, just that in itself is so powerful, right? Just, you know, so not just getting some kind of activity at, you know, during lunch from because you got an A. No, just getting an A. It's that in itself is powerful. Just wondering if we're, you know.
No, that's a really good point, and I don't want to
That as well,
shortchange
you know?
what's going on there, because at Frontier and Sierra Vista, it's not even so much about getting the A. It's they look at how many credits students are recovering per grading
Exactly.
period, and
Yeah.
so they do have rewards per grading period for students who are exceeding and excelling, and so that is part of it. But I'll also add one of the genius parts about this document, this LCAP, which may sound funny to say about something that's 160 pages long, is it's a fairly broad document in that the actions are designed and they're written in such a way where the school sites do have latitude, where it's not necessarily designed to restrict them in the way they exercise, for example, student incentives. It allows them to continue to add incentive and reward programs year to year as they continue to find things that work well for their population. So going into, again, this is year one of a 3-year plan. Our recommendation at this point would be not to make any significant changes to the plan, partly because, again, it's only year one of a 3-year adventure, but also when we look at the metrics throughout the document, the vast majority of metrics show student growth. And just kind of some highlights, record high graduation rates, both as a district and comprehensive sites. We had record high test scores last year in English, math, and science. We actually eclipsed our pre-pandemic scores in all 3 subjects, which is something the state of California hasn't done yet for high school students. We had top 5 rankings among similar school districts in English, language arts, math, and science. In fact, math, we were actually number 1 in the state among similar school districts. And we were in the top 3% of all school districts on the California School Dashboard. So for at least year one, we saw a lot of really good student growth. This is a slide from Dr. Oviedo's presentation back in the October study session. And just to refresh your memory, these are all of the measurable targets that we have for student achievement in BP 0 to 100. And all of the blues on this chart are areas where we grew. And all of the greens are areas where we held serve. The yellows are areas where we declined slightly. The whites are new metrics, which meant last year was the baseline, and we'll actually be able to apply some colors to that moving forward. I think we should be proud of the progress. I think we should be proud of the work that our students put in, that our staff put in, that our parents put in. And I think recognizing progress is important because I think that's what keeps us going, is by seeing that our efforts are bearing fruit. But at the same time, this is Whittier Union, and one of the things that's been said in this district is that good enough is not good enough. We've been out of school for 4 business days. Starting Monday, we already had teams of teachers working in the district office, working together, collaborating, looking at data, and planning for next year to continue this growth. It's pretty inspirational to watch. And it's something I'm really getting to enjoy now that I work at the staff development office. So that is my report on the annual update to the LCAP.
Thank you. I think we have a couple of questions. I have one on the data side. I think I saw your hand, Trustee Rodriguez. Go ahead and you go first, and I'll go first.
Yeah, when I look at the LCAP, if you turn to pages 6 and 7 of the LCAP itself, the title is Reflections: Annual Performance.
I'm with you.
Okay, so obviously you've got some of the great accomplishments on our test scores on the first page, page 6. And then we go to page 7, and you talk a little bit about the areas that are still in red.
Right.
Talk to us a little bit about those areas that are still in red and what we're doing, what we're going to do different next year.
Sure. So, one of the things that we focused on this year, as I shared out in our February meeting, were some of the efforts that were specifically targeted towards our male students and our English learners. And when we look at our English learners, that is a group that we will see in a couple of places that are still in red. California School Dashboard doesn't disaggregate by gender. It's so something we've been looking at, but I think we know if we want to move the needle in a lot of these metrics, it's going to be by moving forward with our male students. And so that's been the work that all of our sites have been doing this year. And again, it kind of goes into the genius of this document. We look at some of the things that our sites wanted to bring in this year. They wanted to bring in, for example, the use of Summit K-12 as an LPAC test preparation package. So that was something that our school sites began to use across the board this year. It's already covered in the LCAP because we have a section about technology, right? And that's technology. So that's something that's going to continue to grow. I'll tell you, little spoiler, we've seen some preliminary LPAC scores, and we are seeing a little bit of growth, which is exciting. So hopefully we'll have some good data to share a little later this summer. So we know that's something we want to look at. We talked about male mentorship. We talked about males going to empowerment conferences. That was something we shared in February. A lot of those are efforts that are spearheaded by our Horizons offices. And again, that's something that is covered in the document. We still have some areas of growth at Frontier and Sierra Vista High School. Again, that's part of why the equity multiplier exists. For students who are behind in credits, it's not surprising if a student is behind in credits that they perhaps may not score very well on a state test. For example, in math, that's testing at the Algebra 2 level, especially if a student in alternative ed hasn't made it to Algebra 2 yet. So we know there are areas of growth to look at there. But again, little spoiler alert, we've started to see some preliminary test scores come in, and there are some positives, I think, in our future in terms of student performance there. So I don't think, that we are ever in a place where we want to be complacent. We always want to be aware of our growth areas. Mm-hmm. This report is not necessarily designed to be a granular report of every action that's happening at every site, because at that point it would be several thousand pages most likely. But no, to your point, there are definitely growth areas that our school sites are working on addressing, and we're looking forward to seeing where that goes next year.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you. Before we go any further with questions, actually, I just was reminded I need to open the public hearing just to make sure, to see if we have any public comments about the LCAP. Okay, so I can go ahead and
I think we have to leave it open.
leave it open for the questions and budget piece. Okay. So before we get to the budget piece, I know we have additional questions. I have a bunch, but Trustee
No,
Lopez.
just a comment.
Sure, go ahead.
I appreciate the presentation, and I love this data that you sharing with us. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Anyone else? I'm going to rephrase my comment. I really appreciate, Mr. Liggett, you sharing that this is not the place where you have the granular questions about the granular data. So that I'll eliminate 3 of mine right off the bat. And then
should have said that right off the bat.
so getting back to the data slide.
Sure.
I wanted to ask. I appreciate seeing the side by side. Now that we're actually going to be including the equity multiplier, which I'm mindful that we need to add that to our placement chart. So I definitely want to do that for our LCAP goals. And then of course we'll do the alignment. But at some point, will it make sense to add a column for Frontier, given and Sierra Vista, given the resources that are going intentionally into those 2 sites?
Absolutely, and when Dr. Oviedo did this presentation back in October, she actually did have a separate slide for Frontier and Sierra Vista. Some of the measurable targets that we have for the school sites are a little different than some of the measurable targets that are important for USAC. As we mentioned earlier, they're so focused on credit recovery. That metric of how many credits students are recovering per grading period, that's a huge metric for them. So that's something, for example, in their annual report that Dr. Moriarty writes to, even though it's not, say, a measurable target for the comprehensive sites, right? And so I definitely feel like as we continue to move forward, and when you look at the document, when you get to that goal 5, you do see all of the data specific to Frontier and Sierra Vista, so that can all be laid out. But I do think it is important to remember that sometimes the metrics that we look at for alternative education, their mission is sometimes different. And I think the metrics that we use to measure their work and their mission, I think that difference has to be considered and respected.
Thank you for answering that. Staying with the data slide, I'm wondering if you could feel free to answer in any way, shape, or form. But looking at the data from site to site, is there value in sites competing with themselves and looking at what data was and, you know, the current year, what it is, what it was a year ago, and are you able to show and present the data in that sense so they can kind of see how they're doing over time to see if they've outperformed what they did last year?
Yeah, so for when the principals prepare their annual reports every year, they actually get 5 years worth of data for every single metric so that they can have that longitudinal comparison. The only challenge we have now when we look at a 5-year window is that still includes the pandemic, and some of the data points in the pandemic years are still a little bit wonky, to use a technical term, right? But they do have the ability to look at that longitudinal data so that they can look at trends, try to identify patterns, and therefore progress their plans forward.
And I appreciate that because, you know, the sites might be able to share best practices with each
Absolutely.
other. If they're moving the needle in one area, but not the other, then one site can say to the other, oh, this is what we tried, maybe you could try this too. And I know that already happens to some extent, and so I appreciate hearing about that.
Absolutely.
Mr. Lopez?
I'm sorry, just looking at the 4-year graduation rate, our policy says 94, right?
Right.
94, yeah, we're at 93, so I guess soon we're gonna be able to see that.
Is 94, and I'm sorry, because I don't have the policy in front of me, is that the full district target or the comprehensive target? Okay, so we still have work to do to get to that 94. I think it's worth noting 93 is the highest we've ever been. So the progress is good,
yeah.
but it's never a bad thing to have targets that are farther out in front of you. That's part of what keeps you moving forward.
Thank you, I just want to share that. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm gonna hold off on the other questions because they err on the granular side, so I know the hour is late, so I think it's time to maybe pivot over to the budget, and I'll go ahead and close the hearing.
I think you
No,
have to
I'll leave it open, okay.
Leave it open.
Take that back.
Take it back.
Take it back.
Always fun to follow Mr. Liggett. His amazing presentations, a great job, Tim. Let's start with an interesting story. So this afternoon, was texting and emailing about budget items with our principal at USCC, Margie Moriarty, and she signed off with her last email. I'm looking forward to the budget presentation this evening, and kind of struck me as I think that's the first time anybody ever said that. So thank you, Margie, for your positive support. So I'll take it where I can get it. Tonight, we're here to present the budget proposal for the next fiscal year, for the 25-26 fiscal year. As you recall, well, let's start with this. This is a new slide, and I'm going to try to follow a similar format to prior presentations for our budget proposal. In addition to the giant LCAP document that is in your packet, we also have a 148-page budget binder. And I'll try to hit the highlights of that. But what's in that binder, kind of demystifying the 148 pages. First 5 pages is the overview and the assumptions. That's prepared by myself and our Director of Fiscal Services to kind of capture what is going on in this particular proposal. It will hit the assumptions, the cost of living adjustments, which we'll highlight here in just a minute, as well as kind of our projected ending fund balances for the current year, and our multi-year projections for the proposed year and the 2 out years. Additionally in there, item 2 on here is a 3-page general fund budget summary. We see that as the multicolored page spreadsheets that include both our combined restricted and unrestricted budget, as well as our restricted, disaggregated restricted budget, and our disaggregated unrestricted budget. Lastly, you're gonna see the remainder. So what do we do with the other 135 pages? That's going to include all of the other district funds, for example, the cafeteria fund, the transportation fund, and all of those in there as well. And I listed those separate funds here on the right as well. But typically we focus on our general fund because that's our district checkbook, right? That's our ongoing incoming revenue to handle the general operations of the districts. And we'll focus on that moving forward. First, Ms. Lopez, last time you asked about kind of an overview of the annual budget cycle. So
Thank you.
Brought this slide back to kind of talk about what can we expect over the course of the budget year. We're right here at the top square, in June, the budget adoption. And as you know, over 2 meetings this month, we're review both the LCAP and the proposed budget. Those will be proposed tonight, and then again, questions answered over tonight and the next meeting, with conclusion being adoption of a budget. Interestingly, in California, we adopt our budget as a school district ahead of the state's adopted budget, which happens later in June. So that's our next square to the right, the state budget adoption, which triggers the next box. In August, a 45-day budget revision. Again, we base our budget proposal based on things released in the May revision. So we only know as much as we do from the governor's office up through May. When the budget is finally adopted in June, we make adjustments based on what the formal budget adopted later this month. So that's in August. We'll come back in September and bring the unaudited actuals. That's a reflection backwards to the prior year. Again, we'll be here in September and I'll present the unaudited actuals for the 24-25 fiscal year. Where did we close the year? Where did we actually end up dollar for dollar in our budget? December, we'll be back with a budget update. That's called our first interim budget revisions. That will highlight any changes through the first 4 months of the budget cycle. So from July 1 through October 31st, we'll have a budget statement at that point. So any revisions, any changes, again, throughout the year, a little bit of a highlight. We do anticipate, was mentioned in the May revision, that there may be extra one-time money that may be allocated in the 25-26 fiscal year. We said, well, that sounds exciting. When can we anticipate that? There's no way to estimate that at this time, so more questions were created out of the May revision than answers on that. So, but at that point, if we had better assumptions and better information related to that allocation of maybe funds, then that could be incorporated into the first interim budget, again, and later on in the year as well. In January, the governor will propose a future budget for the next fiscal year. We'll get to see those highlights and then make assumptions, again, update assumptions based on that proposal. Also in January, we will then have completed our audit process for the 24-25 fiscal year. We'll bring those findings to both the Board of Trustees, hopefully not findings, but those results to the Board of Trustees as well as the Bond Oversight Committee, as the audit includes both the financial audit as well as Measure A bond audit. Then we hit March for our second interim budget revision. This will reflect the current spending through the first 7 months of the fiscal year, so July 1 through January 31st. Then takes us to May, where we get the May governor's revision again, and we start the cycle all over again. Yes, sir?
Just part of the process that was mentioned by Mr. Liggett about the community, parents, students. I would like minutes taken at those sessions so that I could have and read on my own about what they're asking for.
So it's the LCAP development, LCAP advisory.
Minutes at each school, you know, if that's possible.
What is done currently regarding chronicling or
I'll defer to Mr. Liggett or Ms.
We take notes, and Mr. Liggett takes them on a Google Doc, and so each principal puts in the minutes that are taken at the meeting.
If they could be put on a shared drive, so that I don't want you to print anything, just so that I could kind of peruse over what people are saying. Thank you.
I just want to see if that's something that any of my colleagues would also appreciate, like some type of, maybe like a live link is what you're thinking of, like something you press that you'd be able to see.
Yeah, just like put all the minutes on the shared drive and just peruse them, you know, and just see what, I'm sure there's going to be a difference between Cal High, La Serna, and all the schools on what they're asking for. You know, I'm already hearing it from parents, so I'd want to read it to see if whether they're showing up.
Yeah, if there's I just want to kind of wrap my head around what kind of work that would take, and if we have the bandwidth to do that, and also my colleagues join in that interest as well.
Isn't it ultimately summarized in the LCAP meeting though? Because if you read the report, it's in there, what the feedback is from the parents.
It is.
I'll tell you what, you keep going, I'll find it on the page so you can,
I don't want to do it now.
well, but I can tell you where it is.
Mr. Lopez, you want to chime in?
I just have a question.
Yes.
Prop 98 budget, we're gonna talk about that and, you know, maybe the.
Well, there's a lot of talk about Prop
the-
98 right now,
Right.
so maybe we can talk a little bit about that. There are some concerns about this particular budget and recent acts by the governor and legislature on adopting budgets that in many opinions, specifically CSBA, who has been very loud about this, concerns about the lack of not meeting Prop 98 obligations. And again, as staff, I don't typically take political perspectives on those, but I do know that Prop 98 has been very leveraging in creating a floor, although I don't believe that Prop 98 was written with an intention of being a minimum funding amount as opposed, or a maximum funding amount. But when we don't get our, believe that we are getting our Prop 98 minimum funding, it does create concerns for CBOs and school districts all over, so.
Thank you.
Here are our assumptions for, again, we can look back, and the gray column is current year. The 25-26, the next column is our proposed year, and the 2 out years is required. You can see those are the assumptions that we use to project our numbers in terms of revenue for Whittier Union, as well as expenditures, but our assumptions are up here, and you can see relatively small cost of living adjustment that we currently have in the 24-25 year, 1.07. And then projection for 25-26, this number 2.30% was adjusted downward from 2.43% just in the May revision. In addition to that, 26, 27, 27, 28 were also experienced a downward COLA adjustment, which is always concerning because the compounding effect of a reduced COLA ultimately over the 3-year budget cycle is about $5 million in reduced income. We can see our projected average daily attendance, our ADA for current year and next year, proposed year, and the 2 out years. Mr. Liggett spoke about the unduplicated pupil count, or unduplicated pupil percentage, again, which contributes to supplemental concentration grant dollars for the district. Those percentages are there. I would note that we had a little bit of a blip this year where we had a slight decline in UPP percentage. So our assumptions on this, we use the last data point as an assumption for the future out years. Now that may not be the case, but you can see the impact of having a slightly downward trending UPP in the effect of a unduplicated pupil percentage that drops out to about 77.67%.
Is that the drop in population or the drop?
That's percentage. That's percentage of students. Again, Mr. Luke, the English learners, foster youth, socioeconomically disadvantaged students. So we can see the per pupil funding projections as well, how much money we would receive per student. That also includes supplemental concentration grant dollars, and then our projected general fund income for current year, the proposed year, and 2 out years. We'll see that a little bit more as we move forward and kind of what that trend's like. Again, the biggest impact on our income is our enrollment. Our enrollment translates to average daily attendance, which translates to revenue for the district. So we can see this is an ongoing trend as we project forward. We have a little bit look back through 2020 through current, and then look out a few years here to 2028, and we can see kind of a continuous downward trend. Yes,
Mr. Mendez?
So if this is something that we can forecast here and estimate, I would want to know in the future, how do we treat that budget? What do we do to budget this down? And you don't have to answer that now. I'm just saying that I'd like to see how that criteria mechanism would work.
I'll speak briefly on it. We use these numbers as our projected, used projected into the local control funding formula to project what our revenue will be if we actually hit these numbers. You know, based on, where do these numbers come from? These numbers come from our current enrollment at 11th, 10th, and 9th grade, projected for next year. The matriculation rate for each grade level, the percentage of 9th graders that usually become 10th graders in Whittier Union. Sometimes that's more than 100% as we gain students, sometimes that's less. And then the matriculation rate for every grade level moving forward. So we can project, for example, we receive just over 100% of the 8th grade enrollment at all of our partner elementaries. So we get those kids, we lose some kids, but we also gain some kids from privates and from out of the district. So we have those percentages historically. We use those percentages to project matriculation rates from grade level to grade level. And we can look down all the way to first grade. And can look all the way and what the matriculation rates are historically and use that to project enrollment out as far. Now, I will always say the further out you go, the less confident I am, because now we're projecting 5, 6, 7 years away. And so we do this every single year to make sure that we're using the most recent data.
Yeah, 'cause, you know, I don't want to be one of these schools that is in the newspaper because I don't think it's because the districts are failing to plan. I just think there's a reaction that we only plan less than a year out. So I just want, and I think everyone should know what that formula is going to look like, so no one is surprised. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendes. Mr. Lopez Alexander. Speaking of formula, and thank you for forecasting the, you know, that we're gonna gain, you know, yet we're gonna lose some kids. But what's the plus minus percentage?
Right now, about, from one year to the next, about 2 to 3% negative.
Negative.
Year to year. And like I said, we are holding our kids fairly well from 8th grade to 9th grade. There's just fewer 8th grade. So every graduating class is bigger than that new 9th grade class, is what we're seeing. And that's contributing to our decline.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the impact on our projected income, we see that trend line of declining enrollment. And when we mix in a cost of living adjustment, we can see we kind of flatten out. And if you recall from the prior assumption slide, about that 2 to 3% COLA range, right? In the future years, in the proposed year and the 2 out years, we see the COLA just about offsetting the declining enrollment rate. So we end up with a fairly flat projection of income for next year and the 2 out years. But please notice when you look at that big spike in 22-23, that was the height of the one-time money that we received for COVID recovery. That dropped off significantly as that one-time money didn't come in. We had a new ongoing source, Prop 28 funds, which found their way into here, so we had a slight decline. And then we see this declining enrollment impact, really small COLA in 25-26, therefore a decline from the prior year, and then a leveling out projection. Again, if we see revisions to COLAs in future years, we'll see this vary up or down. We've seen this slide before. The major piece of this is it's $5 million smaller. Right? The total income and where we get our sources of income are all about the same, they're relatively unchanged, with the majority of our funds coming from local control funding formula. However, that pie is $5 million smaller than prior year. General fund expenditures, again, know that this is a slide that we've talked about quite a bit in the past about what percentages are people, right? We are still a people business with about 77.9% of expenditures in salaries and benefits, which is very similar to most districts in California. Seen this slide before. Again, we are projecting deficit spending between, again, our decline in income, and again, relying on our reserves at this point to withstand that deficit spending, about $10 million in deficit spending. We anticipate that will be better. I'm glad we're projecting this out. This is for what we project at the end of next year. We are working to look at potential saving measures, we'll be looking to convene a budget stabilization committee and working well with our associations as well to talk about how do we weather this storm that everybody's talking about in California. These rough times ahead, these small COLAs, the suspension of Prop 98, potentially deferrals, cash deferrals that kick income to the next fiscal year when it is owed in one. These budget tricks that we've seen before in education. We'll be looking at those and look at establishing priorities to ensure that we stay in a good place. Yes, sir.
How will you do that? Will you do that with each group, or will you have a general session for all of us to attend and get informed at the same time?
This is the first one that we've talked about. So we're still kind of formulating how do we put this together. We know one thing. We know it's going to need all of us together to talk about how do we establish priorities, board priorities, employee priorities, district as a whole priorities, always recognizing that students need to stay at that center of that priority. It's been a while since we faced these types of waters, but now I'm at this place where we're going to have to figure this out and look at what can we do in the short term to avoid long-term harm.
It's a,
yes, sir.
maybe it's a question of a policy that it's kind of pending. 9310. Right. We haven't, but you talk about having all the stakeholders in the room talking about how are we going to deal with this, right? So,
That's our idea.
Right, that's idea. With 9310, help this idea.
Well, I think we're already doing it even before 9310. I think the different stakeholders attend presentations and have been as long as I've been on board in order to find things out at the same time and look at the same budget.
I think we have a good foundation with the Budget Review Committee, which has been helpful for us to try to, I think it's expanding what that collaborative process looks like to have a slightly different focus. That was more, I mean, it's always great to have a Budget Review Committee when times are good. We're all see the budget together, we're all talking together. But I think it takes a slightly different approach when you're talking about, worst case scenario, where are our priorities? And how do we ensure that if we can't do everything moving forward because of financial constrictions, what can we do? What are we going to hold most sacred?
Thank you.
Yes. You have a question?
Let me start first with, for Mr. Mendez, the reference to the LCAP meetings with the parents and other folks is in the LCAP pages 14 to 18. Just so you can take a look at the feedback that we received from the families and others. My question is, as I take a look at the outgoing year's budget, and we look at the declining enrollment, the impact of that in terms of our budget is less monies for our teacher salaries. What impact does it have on our classified staff, if any?
Yeah, the difference here is really related to how we staff schools. When you have fewer kids and you still have the same amount of square footage of classrooms, you still need the same number of classified staff, whether it's custodial or whether it's facilities or maintenance. You're still maintaining the same facility regardless of the number of students. With our certificated staff, there is a staffing ratio codified in contract that we must maintain a minimum staffing ratio. So really when we have declining number of students, the impact is felt more on the certificated side than on the classified side. There is some classified impact, potentially with instructional aides, bus drivers, food service workers in terms of the service of directly serving students. But with virtually all of the certificated staff serving students, there's a staffing ratio that's impacted most directly.
So if you could take a look at page 8 of the proposed budget.
I will get there.
So you had some of the similar numbers, I think, on page 7, but let me just go ahead and, since I formulated my question off of page 8. Are you there?
Yes.
So you have the line item called 1,000 certificated salaries and then 2,000 classified salaries. You see that?
Yes.
And then obviously employee benefits, et cetera. So when I look across that for over the few years, for certificated in 23-24, our budget for, I guess, an unrestricted was 63.2 million, approximately 63.2. 24-25, it went down a couple million. 24 estimated actually went significantly down, I take it, because of the early retirement program. And then in 25-26, we're at 62, and then down to 61 and 60 in the 2 out years.
Yeah,
That's a reflection
probably
of declining enrollment or the estimation?
I would really direct you back to page 7.
7, all right.
The variety in that case is really availability of restricted dollars, one-time dollars. When the restricted dollars comes in, that has more of an impact in that fluctuation. If you have restricted dollars that have to be spent, you're going to spend that money first. So I'd rather direct you to the restricted and unrestricted together, which would give a more trend based on all resources being spent. If I would point
the trend is the same, right? It's going from
very similar trend.
85 this current year to 84, 83, 82 for certificated.
That's correct.
And for classified, 34.3, 35.9, 36.5, 37.2. So in essence, that's a reflection of even a declining enrollment impacting more of our teachers' salary. That is, we're going to have less teachers that we need.
A couple of factors, and there are some smaller factors. Declining enrollment is the primary one. Some of the other factors are the certificated step-in column is typically just shy of 1% each year increase. But if you're declining by more than 1% in number of certificated staff, you're going to see a decline. But step-in column, regardless of any additional raises, is about 0.9%. The classified step, based on the salary schedule that was implemented 2018, if I'm remembering correctly, with the salary setting for classified, the step rate for classified is about 2%. So the two different salary schedules, they operate differently, and we are having fewer certificated staff members over time as our enrollment declines.
Where do our counselors and administrative staff fall?
Those are in the certificated.
So this is our best planning as we can, given declining enrollment over the next few years. Thank you.
Again, we are a little bit conservative in our estimates, and I would point to the only absolute right number on this page is in the 23-24 unaudited actuals. So I will point that out. Those are the actuals for the year. When we close in August and come back in September and present the unaudited actuals, I'm anticipating it to be a little bit better. Why is that? Why is that? We budget and allocate funds to all district programs from the district office, right? Centrally out to sites, out to programs, out to departments. Those allocations are considered spent until the close of the fiscal year. So those nickels and dimes that still exist in budgets, if there's $10,000 that goes unspent in a particular account, that money's swept back to the general fund. So those nickels and dimes add up across the district typically. And so we're looking to, once we close, we will know, did all of those allocated funds that were budgeted for expenditure, did they actually get expended by June 30th, right? And that's kind of our cutoff. At June 30th, we begin the closing process, and then we see, is there any leftover funds that were allocated but not spent? Just a couple of, this slide again, it's the same themes, right? The significant changes, $5 million reduction in income from current year to the proposed year. That estimate is based on declining enrollment projections, as well as a reduction in the cost of living assumptions that we had up until May. So it's the same story. It's the same key indicators that we're keeping an eye on as we move forward. To conclude, our general fund projected fund balances, we can see here, we've seen this slide before, the blue is our total, that's the combined restricted, unrestricted. I break it out here because we're required to maintain a 3% unrestricted reserve. Right, and when I look at this for next year, for the 25-26, we're projecting an unrestricted balance of 28.9 million, which looks fine, and then it declines significantly through the 27-28 year. Again, I'm hoping it's a little bit better from what I mentioned before. But when I look at that 27-28 year, 13.9, and we think about what's the minimum reserve we have to have 6.8. Right? That is our 3% minimum reserve for our district. When you add the 4.6 million, because that question comes up regularly as well, the committed declining enrollment reserve, now you're at 11.4. So when I look at that 13.9, right, 13.9, we have to have 6.8 unassigned, unexpended, unallocated as a reserve for economic uncertainty, and we've decided to commit 4.6 more. So the difference is about $2 million projected in 27-28. So we're getting a little, our projections are getting a little scary. Now again, I try to add some sprinkling of sunshine in there. We are hopeful that there will be one-time money that has been alluded to. We're not banking it until we get it, but we're hoping that that comes through. We are looking forward to closing and see if we can scrape those nickels and dimes together and look a little bit better when we start the new school year. So, and we are hopeful that the state economy grows and we see continued job growth in California, which will add to the Prop 98 minimum reserve. And we are hopeful that we will hold true to that Prop 98 commitment and we get our minimum fund. That is the presentation, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jamero. Any questions? Mr. Lovett? No. Okay.
Thank you.
So I will go ahead, thank you, Mr. Jamero. I will go ahead and close the public hearing for the budget portion of our LCAP presentation. And we all had a chance to ask questions about both the LCAP and the related budget. And we'll be returning to this at the next board meeting, June 24th. That brings us to 13.02, the parameters and planning for a fall state of the district. And this was agendized to allow us to be able to have some time to discuss priorities so that Dr. Oviedo can take notes. Good night, everyone. Travel safely.
Good night. Thank you. Good seeing
Good night.
you. Have a great summer.
So this was agendized to give us a chance to be able to offer our preferences, priorities, ideas on all the critical questions, the who, the what, the where, and the when. So I'll open up the floor to any comments along those lines for our state of
Just a reminder is that we shouldn't just be city-centered. Is that we have unincorporated areas without city governments, so those should be considered, just as a reminder.
Duly noted. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Rodriguez-Moise?
Yes, so I also attended the Engage Whittier presentation, and I have to say I liked it better this year than last year. I thought, so I really liked the format that they used. I think the question for us becomes location and where do we have it, so that it can be more community oriented. They obviously have theirs in the middle of the day. I think that may restrict parental participation. So I don't know, so I have that as a concern if it's an evening thing. I also kind of see it as a two-pronged approach, which is we can do the presentation to whoever we decide is our audience, because I think the presentation is going to almost write itself. But I also think we should take it on the road to different communities so that there can be the big presentation, which is probably an hour and a half to 2 hours, about how our students are doing, the different areas, highlighting the high schools. But then at some point there should be something where we take it on the road to community organizations, or even in a city council presentation, Santa Fe, Downey, La Mirada, Norwalk, Whittier, and so, because those cities do send students to our part of our enrollment area. But I did like what they had. They had each group, each sort of assistant superintendent making a presentation. I'd like to see that in our principals, so that we have the different voices of the district represented in the presentations.
You know, I have
Thank you.
is a little concern if we do by school, because South Whittier is divided into 5 schools, attendance areas. So the kids that go to Lucerna from South Whittier and their parents are unlikely to go to Lucerna in the evening, especially if their transportation is limited.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't mean that we would hold them at the individual schools. I meant to say that I'd like to see a presentation at the event, however it's structured, that there be the principals be able to make a presentation. I don't know where it's going to be held, or what time, but I'm just suggesting that it's nice. One of the best parts of that presentation, I thought, was hearing the different voices from the assistant supes,
students,
the
as well.
students, and the student performances. I mean, that really is kind of
It kind
inspiring.
of tells me this would be various areas, right? We're not going to just go to one.
Well, I think that's the feedback that Dr. Oviedo needs, is are we gonna have, they only have one, and they have it over at the Liberty
Right.
Plaza. So they don't do it at each of the elementary schools, so all I'm suggesting is that the voices of the presentation be a cross-section of our people.
Sure.
I have comments, but Mr. Lip. Okay. So I appreciate the comments shared thus far. I having seen one, and I'm sorry Ms. Conchola's not here because she went to the Los Nietos State of the District, and I know she had some comments on that. Perhaps she can share them later. But I like the idea of maybe having the event early evening to give working families a chance to attend. I like the idea of prioritizing student voices, like East Whittier did that to some extent. But we can have our own stamp, our own model. I like the idea of not having just a straight lecture, but having intermittent performances from our students. I like hearing from different voices. I mean, to be honest, I think the East Whittier one is very superintendent heavy. So not that I don't trust Dr. Oviedo to do an outstanding job, but I like the idea of hearing different voices. And I like the idea of all of our sites being promoted and included, so we can hear about accomplishments, new facilities, plans, acknowledge all of our constituency group leaders. And then in terms of site, I think maybe we have the first one here at the district. We don't always have to be here at the district. Maybe we could rotate in future years to go to different sites. And I'm not saying I'm just wedded to only doing one per year. I'm open to hearing more about how the traveling roadshow would work. But maybe we do the first one here, given that this is unincorporated Whittier, and it's where a lot of different trustee areas come together, and hopefully it's not too much of a travel difficulty for parents in different parts of the district and families. Love the idea of serving food and playing music, so that we could have maybe a presentation piece, and then have an informal breaking bread and networking piece as well. And then lastly, then I'll yield the floor. I think this would be a great opportunity to be able to solicit feedback, whether it be in a survey on the phone using a QR code, or maybe a paper survey, whatever's easier. And Mr. Liggett, I know you love data, but maybe just assessing, what are some things that you'd like to see, given what you heard tonight, or things that we could do better. I just think it'd be a lost opportunity if we didn't give a chance to be able to collect feedback on this night, because it should be a dialogue. Yes, we're presenting, we're showcasing, we also want to receive input and feedback as well. Those are my comments.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to definitely support having performances. I'm not okay with the roadshow just yet. Let's get a feel for the first, state of the district, and then, but I definitely want to hear from our superintendent. Why? Because we all chimed in on what we want her to, you know, what kind of state of district we would like to see. But definitely I'd like to have it, you know, of course, a neutral area, but then the first time around, maybe here, and then, of course, every other year, different locations. So, and of course, and then inviting, where we can invite. Let's get an invite list. You know, I'm sure the East Whittier State of the District invite list is going to be way different from ours. So, and just want to touch on those things. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Mr. Mendez.
So my prior institution, this was, I think in most cases, a norm every other year. And we had to go out because it was a college on the hill. So we had to go to the communities, and we had it in each community. I think staff is good enough to go on the show. I think, yeah, you do one nice one, but I think we do plan out for the year and pick different areas and do that. Because I would not want to leave out any community. And being the northernmost community in North Whittier, you know, I can only imagine what it would be like to have to consider coming all the way down here just to go to a presentation. But I would say plan the grand opening or whatever, and then start planning the rest of the year to go out. I would say that.
Thank you. So there's feedback from the four of us.
Thank you so much. So helpful.
far, so good.
Truly. Thank you.
Okay. And also, board, I don't think we're limited to just this dialogue. If we have other ideas that pop into our heads, or if we find notes from other state of the colleges we've attended, by all means, please email Dr. Oviedo, and I'm sure this will come back to us with, you know, in a more formed, polished.
You know what, I would recommend even to play with how would that presentation look like. You know, show us, what would that look like? You know, it's usually 20, 30 minute at the most, you know, PowerPoint, and then you fill it with all kinds of other stuff like you're talking about. But I'd like to see what that would look like for Whittier Union.
Maybe an outline, like a skeletal outline of proposed topics. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much, board. And we're excited to see this come to fruition later this year. So that brings us to new business. Item 14, as we consider 14.01. This is the item where we consider the expulsion of a Whittier Union High School District student. And I believe Vice President Rodriguez-Moise has the motion, correct?
Yes, I do. I move that pursuant to the requirements of Education Code Section 48918F, we accept the findings and recommendations of the Administrative Hearing Panel regarding the expulsion of Frontier High School student number 210014.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Lopez. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passes 4-0. Thank you. Item 14.02. We consider approval of resolution number 2425-30, Board of Supervisors of the County of Los Angeles to establish tax rate for bonds for Whittier Union High School District expected to be sold during fiscal year 25-26 and authorizing necessary actions in connection therewith. Is there a motion?
I will move this item.
Moved by Trustee Rodriguez-Moise. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Discussion? Dr. Oviedo, do we have any
Ultimately,
comments about
if
this?
it doesn't require us to sell the bonds, but if we don't do this resolution with the county, then we cannot sell bonds in this fiscal year.
Understood.
So where are we at in our need to sell bonds and our building projects?
Mr. Tamaro.
Sure, we do anticipate, from the beginning, we anticipated that we would be issuing bonds every 2 years. We're at that point where the 25-26 fiscal year, some good news to add to that, we are in the last stages of approval from DSA for the Performing Arts Center. That's a large project, right? So we just heard Mr. Rodriguez was bringing me up to speed this week that we have passed the hurdle of the California Geological Survey, which was the last stamp off that DSA needed before they formally approve our plan. So we're just past all hurdles. With that project moving forward, that's our largest project in the bond repertoire. So once that occurs, we are going to be looking at needing additional funds to continue with projects such as the California High School pool, the additional pools that we have projected for renovation, as well as roofs across the district, athletic field renovations. We're going to continue with those projects that we've presented before. We do anticipate with the Performing Arts Center moving forward, that's going to deplete a lot of the remaining first issuances, and we'll be talking likely this fall with our financial consultant at Keygent for them to come back to do another formal presentation about the bond issuance itself. So that's a whole separate resolution, the resolution to sell bonds, and that's a whole different process. This is just a resolution to notify the county to establish tax levies in preparation for the sales of bonds in the 25-26 year.
Mr. Lopez. Okay, in terms of timeline, we give them notice, and what's the turnaround time, and what's next?
We would be bringing a presentation to the Board of Trustees in the fall. If you remember, Chet Wank is our consultant, and he'll be back with bond counsel Nick here at Stradling. We'll go through that all before. We've done it 2 years ago. We were planning to follow a similar process. It's a lot, it's a lot, but kind of the turnaround time from once the decision of the board is made to issue the bonds, about 6 weeks, and then we can get to bond sales. But we do have some work ahead of that to hear from, is it an opportune time for the sale of bonds?
Thank you.
Mr. Mendez.
At the same time, if you could provide how we're doing on the rate of building, and how that's being planned out, and whether we're meeting that schedule.
Absolutely.
Observation, just to hear that we're in the last stages of approval of the Performing Arts Project. Wouldn't that be nice to share an update on the state of the district that we have later?
Is share the renderings, right?
Possibly. Okay. True. Any other questions, board? Seeing none, I call a question. All in favor of 14.02, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Passes 4-0. Brings us to item 14.03, approval of the amendment to the master agreement between the WADA and the Whittier Union High School District. Is there a motion?
I'll move the item.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by trustee Rodriguez-Moisa, seconded by trustee Lopez. Any discussion on this item, colleagues?
We're good.
Congratulations.
Very grateful.
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Passes 4-0. And that brings us to item 14.04, approval of the personnel report. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mendez. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Rodriguez-Moisa. Just to let everyone know, I will be abstaining from the personnel report. And I'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, and I abstain.
Yeah, I gotta correct you on this.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Sure, sure.
You have to abstain from voting. Abstention is a vote.
Very good.
So no vote from Mr.
No vote from
Castaneda.
Dr. Castaneda.
3-0.
The motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Next item is 14.05, approval of amendment to administrative contracts. Been moved by Mr. Lopez.
Second.
Second, Ms. Rodriguez.
Well, I have some questions.
And we have questions. Mr. Mendez.
Let's get this going. call for the question.
Oh, wait, no, I had a comment before you call the
Okay.
question.
Yes, please.
My comment was, they've now left, but I wanted to say thank you for the great work. I think it's a phenomenal team of committed professionals who are very dedicated to their job, and I think we're very lucky to have them for another 2 years.
I will share that too.
Any other comments?
Ditto.
We have a ditto. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's call the question. All in favor of approval of amendment to administrative contracts, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 4-0. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 15, future board topics. And I'll open it up to see if there are any burning topics that my colleagues would like to bring up for future board meetings that have not already been discussed the last few months.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Lopez?
Considering what transpired in the previous discussion, I'm very, very careful. Again, we have to be very careful.
Yes, we do.
With these items, the specific items. So I'm just gonna, step away after I make a comment, and then so we don't violate any, any Brown Act.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Understood. Are you making a comment?
Oh, go.
Mr. Rodriguez-Moisa?
Oh, yeah, go.
I was just going to raise as a potential item of presentation was a presentation on a communications plan for resources to our community and our students regarding the state of the immigration raids and whatnot. Again, it's just sort of a communication plan, a sort of something that we can be ready to roll out at the beginning of the school year.
I appreciate that. So I think that sounds like it's a deliverable that might be maybe not necessarily a presentation per se, but a resource.
Yes.
That would be, okay, thank you for presenting that. I'm careful not to pull the board, obviously.
Thank you.
But if anyone wants to, I think it's okay for at least one person to say they're interested in that, but no more than that, from what I understand from Terrence's past admonitions. But beyond that, that's a dialogue, we can have it. So in that spirit, I would be interested in that as well. Okay, any other comments?
Can't.
Okay. I appreciate that. I do have one. And this wouldn't be a presentation. I think this would probably be a possible future agenda item for our next board retreat or a study session. And I think we need to tighten up our board report protocols. And I'm looking at our placemat here. I'm looking at our protocols on the back in terms of our governance norms that we agreed to in March of 2024. I mean it. I think we need to be better as a board in using our board report to make personal attacks that are not based on data, but just on misunderstanding. And I'm fine with correcting the record and using a board report to correct a record for something that was alleged, but it needs to be done in a way that adheres to our governance protocols and steers clear of personal attacks. And here are a couple of governance norms that I think we need to remember as we're making our board reports. 2, respect and value each member's opinions and point of view. 4, exhibit positive body language. 5, not interrupt nor monopolize discussions. 7, disagree amicably. 10, focus on process, not personalities. Those are just 5 right off the bat that I think we need to be mindful of when we're making our board reports. So in that mindset, I think I'd like to revisit this at a future board meeting and discuss not only guardrails for our board reports, but also maybe even voluntary timeframes, time limits, which I know the Rio Hondo board did that at one point. I think they still do, because I see them timing each other. So that's something that I just wanted to offer for your consideration. You don't have to agree or disagree, but that's something that I thought it was important to share with my colleagues. Thank you.
I have a follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
So I submitted Ms. Lopez and I submitted a complaint several months ago about me being attacked at a study session, which is an open meeting, about comments made about my childhood and stuff that is against our governance manual. So that was submitted a while ago. It was submitted to legal counsel, and that's yet to be put on the agenda. So talking about being respectful, transparent, that needs to be on the agenda. Is there a reason why it's not? And now you're talking about what we can talk about and not?
I don't know that this is appropriate for this.
Yeah, it is.
item.
This is
It's
a
been
future agenda
agendized.
items.
I
This is
know,
a
but I
future
thought
agenda
that was
items. I
exactly
am
what-
asking, wait, Irma, I'm asking, I submitted a complaint. It needs to be agendized according to Robert's Rules of Order. Council will tell you that when a complaint is submitted by a board member about breaching protocols, violations of Robert's rules and of personal attacks, that I have a right as an individual member, and 2 members submitted a complaint, that has to be, a committee needs to be formed, not of the aggressor, but of people other than the person being complained against, and that needs to be agendized. That's just our rules, our governance manual.
Do you have a response? Yes.
Well, I just want to, also for the sake of, how do I turn this thing on?
I think it's on.
Yeah, it's on. No. Public can hear. And also out of respect to Mr. Menace, so we did receive that complaint, and some of our analysis under the Roberts rules didn't provide for a clear outlet, and so my thought would be that you allow me to provide an opinion letter and respond to you, and then the board can treat it accordingly, and has the discretion to put it on the agenda either way. There is no existing board policy for it, and the way this complaint fell under Robert's rules, because it was during the middle of a meeting, there are provisions that would say that it would to be addressed within that meeting itself. So without getting too boring over my explanation, let me put that explanation in writing, and then I think that'll allow the board to treat it more effectively and in a business-like manner and achieve what you want to achieve, including you, Mr. Menace.
According to Robert's rules, yes.
Correct. And my apologies for the delay, because part of that was I had it for about a month before we even started.
I had another request
Yes.
unrelated to this matter. My understanding is that last time we received some written comments from the public into community comments, and that legal counsel gave advice that they did not need to be read in open session. I would just like an explanation, whether it's on the board weekly update, as to that legal opinion, and whether that is properly the decision of the general counsel or the decision of the board as a whole for that policy decision. Just because I know we've read comments that have been received before. So I just would like to have that as either a board weekly update, or if it's a presentation to explain that whole topic about when written comments that are submitted, when are those supposed to be read, or when are they supposed to be provided to us, because we also got them after the actual hearing. So I think I'd like to have a discussion, and I know we're not gonna all poll each other, but I'm just making that request.
Mr. Chairman, I do have an idea.
Yes, Mr. Lopez.
When we preside over graduations, we read a script. I like to bring that up. There's a lot of redundancy. I would like to see, I'd like to study a little bit more. How long have we had this script before? Can we change it up? We say the diplomas will be given right after this, but we don't. So I like to revisit that. And Mr. Chair, with that, I'd like to just step away for a little bit, and so I don't want to violate the process. Okay. Hopefully there's a.
Why are you stepping away?
Because I don't want to have the discussion if another 2 or others talk about it. That's why.
Okay, that's your right. All right, so any other future board topics? Dr. Oviedo has taken copious notes, and I have as well, so that we can put our heads together next time we have an agenda building meeting. And we are working on the back request from the previous board meetings as well, and so we'll continue to do our best to roll those out. And then if we have one-on-one meetings later this summer, that'd be a really good chance to let me know if you don't think your item is coming fast enough, or if you have a question. And that might be a really good opportunity at the one-on-one meetings to be able to revisit some of the issues that keep being raised here in open session, especially with regards to March 1st. Right, thank you very much, board. That brings us to item 16.01, actually to adjournment. We already finished closed session, I believe. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Then all in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned until June 24th. Thank you, everyone. Drive safely.
Oh, I have this straight.
Neither of you ever once asked me why I brought that up on budget.
Here you go.